Hello everyone, greetings from Hong Kong. I'm delighted to welcome you all to the virtual 6th Annual World Music Conference. Our theme this year is Music to Aid in Obesity Prevention and Management, a global initiative to create awareness for positive weight-related child health outcomes through music. I'm Michelle Yim, your MC for today. We are delighted to receive the good wishes from His Majesty King Charles III. His Majesty sends his good wishes for a successful and enjoyable 6th Annual World Music Conference. We are delighted to share the message from Councillor Maureen Cornish, Lord Mayor of Birmingham and patron of the British Carnatic Choir. Please welcome Mr. Andy Street, CBE, Combined Mayor of the West Midlands.
Hi there, Andy Street, Mayor of the West Midlands here, and it's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the World Music Conference that of course is occurring here in the West Midlands again, the flagship music conference of the year, organised as ever by the British Carnatic Choir, and I should thank Chitra and everyone else involved in that. The theme this year is about music to promote health and well-being in youngsters and adolescents. And it's looking particularly at how music can be part of a lifestyle to address obesity in young people. The conference has had acclaim across the world, really, lots of countries and international leadership, as well, of course, from music practitioners here in the UK. So enjoy the conference, enjoy the conversations, and I hope it yields to real progress.
Next, may we welcome founder and director of British Carnatic Choir and curator of the World Music Conference, Dr. Chitra Ramakrishnan, MBE, FRSA, FRAS.
Distinguished guests, colleagues, and dear friends joining us from all over the globe, greetings to one and all. I take great pleasure in welcoming you all to the virtual 6th Annual World Music Conference. I'm very grateful to each one of you who have taken your time to join us in the virtual conference today. It means a lot to me, and thank you all so much. This year's theme is Music to Promote Physical Health in Children and Adolescents, a global initiative to raise awareness of obesity and build a platform for positive child health outcomes through music.
Please welcome His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of West Midlands from Mr. John Crabtree, OBE.
I'm delighted to be joining our region's World Music Conference. This is an event that comes around every year. It's a highlight in my calendar. The only alarming thing, of course, is the years seem to go by so very quickly. And despite all the many headwinds that we're faced with today, I hope this finds everybody at the conference well and safe and secure and in good spirits and, of course, ready for Christmas. So this conference, as usual, is dedicated to supporting young people, young children and adolescents. But this year there's a particular emphasis on physical health and well-being, and encouraging young people through dance and music to make sensible, sound life choices, the way they live their lives, to live healthier lives. And music and dancing and healthy food choices and living creatively and just having fun, of course, is so important for all of us. So I commend what the conference is looking to do. And for me personally, I've got a background in dance in the sense that I've chaired the Hippodrome for so many years. And of course, if you just think about this year's small sporting event here in the region, I've seen absolutely firsthand for at least half my life, the benefits of music and dance and now sport to help people improve their lives and make good lifestyle choices. So I think in every possible way, this is a terrific conference. and I'm delighted to be able to be here now and lend my modest shoulder to everything you're seeking to do. All the very best to you.
May we welcome His Majesty's former Lord Lieutenant of West Midlands, Patron of the British Carnatic Choir, Dr. Paul Sabapethi, CVO CBE.
Greetings, greetings from Birmingham, England. It's my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 6th Annual World Music Conference, being held virtually. Can I begin by thanking Dr. Chitra Ramakrishnan, FRSA, MPE, who is the founder and artistic director of the World Music Conference. And can I thank everyone else who has made this event possible. Can I also take this opportunity that many of you might not know, that Her Majesty, the late Her Majesty the Queen, our wonderful Queen who passed away recently, bestowed on Chitra, member of the British Empire, for her huge contribution to South Asian arts. It's a really, really highly deserved honor, because Chitra does all of these things because of her passion, and she does it voluntarily. So I hope you will all join me in congratulating Chitra on this fantastic achievement. The World Music Conference this year is focused on physical health and music, with a focus perhaps on obesity, because it is a growing problem of children not having healthy habits, developing healthy habits, and perhaps eating too much and not exercising enough. And music can play a big part. And the thing to realize is that health and music is something that transverses and crosses all continents, all countries in the world. So health and well-being and music is something that we all share. And I hope that this conference is a fantastic success. We're going to have people giving talks. There's going to be interactive discussions, and there's going to be competitions. So I hope it is a hugely rewarding exercise and also fun. And can I also congratulate all of those of you who are going to get awards for your outstanding contributions, musicians and musical educators, for your outstanding contribution to the field of music. So can I conclude by thanking all of you for taking part, and I hope you have a very, very enjoyable and fruitful 6th World Music Conference. Thank you, God bless, and since it'll shortly be Christmas and New Year, can I wish all of you a very happy Christmas and a prosperous, healthy, and a happy 2023. God bless you all.
Mr. Hitesh Sasana, Head of Chancery, Consul General of India in Birmingham, will deliver the message of support on behalf of Consul General of India, Dr. Shrishat Vikram, IFS, and Chief Patron of the World Music Conference.
Namaste and good morning. I would like to congratulate Dr. Chitra Ramakrishnan, founder and artistic director of a South Asian arts organization, and British Carnatic Choir, the patrons, the conference committee members, and the entire team for organizing the 6th Annual World Music Conference. This flagship conference of West Midlands offers music, a platform representing world music, people, academics from across the globe, and embraces the rich cultural diversity of the communities across the Midlands and elsewhere. This year's theme of music is a natural way to promote physical development in young children is extremely interesting and useful. Research shows that music training enhances the development of motor skills in children. Instrumental training in early childhood enhances fine motor skills or the ability to use small muscle movements, and also results in structural brain changes. Music therapy has the potential to heal, reduce stress, and improve well-being, and is a powerful tool to mitigate stressful environmental factors. I'm sure that the entire diaspora of UK will benefit from the conference, as it is not only a source of entertainment but also a great opportunity for a fully inclusive, multidisciplinary analysis between music, health and well-being. I once again congratulate Dr. Ramakrishnan. Thank you very much.
May we hear the message from Henrietta Brealey, Chief Executive of the Greater Business Chambers of Commerce.
Hi everyone, I'm Henrietta Brealey and I'm the Chief Executive of the Greater Birmingham Chambers of Commerce. Now, one thing that the worlds of music and business have in common is their ability to bring people together from all sorts of different backgrounds, walks of life, places in the world, to come together, to connect, to collaborate and to create. So I'm delighted to be sharing this message of support for the 6th Annual World Music Conference, and I hope that you all have a fantastic experience.
Let us hear from our panel of experts representing the Global Steering Committee.
Hi everyone, I'm Ramya Palachola, the Director for Public Health Programs at Tufts University School of Medicine, based in Boston, Massachusetts. I welcome you all to this wonderful conference. I've been a part of this conference for a few years now and absolutely delighted to be a part of it again this year, with music being an integral part of the conference theme, highlighting its impact on the social, emotional and physical well-being of children. So once again, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the conference.
Hello, my name is Akil Teher, and I am a practicing physician living in the US. It is my honor to support this conference for several reasons. First and foremost, the dramatic rise in diabetes is due to the dramatic rise in childhood obesity. During the past 30 years, the number of children diagnosed as being overweight has increased by more than 100%. Reverting obesity through lifestyle modifications that involves nutrition, education, behavioral modification, and exercise with the help of music is an important step to prevent the progression to diabetes, the leading cause of blindness, amputation, kidney failure, and death in young adulthood. I wish Mrs. Ramakrishnan and her team all the success to promote this important message of how important music is in promoting physical health in children and adolescents. Thank you.
For the second year, I'm pleased to be one of the supporters of the World Music Conference activities, and this time with a focus on how music can promote physical health in children and adolescents. Through my work as a music educator and conductor, I noticed that music's impact goes way beyond teaching discipline, creativity, focus, and teamwork. Music was also the reason behind many happy moments. It was the safe space for many kids to stress release, to get energy, to get confident, and feel that they are a part of a big family, and to communicate with others through a common language. All these reflects in a direct and indirect way on the health of the musician. Also, exercising with the music is somehow the same as a doing workout, but for the small muscles such as fingers, lips, tongues, and wrists. Musicians who develop a routine of daily music practice for a long period that goes sometimes for years are more often able to handle a routine of daily workouts. Looking forward to the 2022 conference with a great hope to change the world for a better place through music.
I'm Charlotte Penton-Smith and I'm the Chief Executive of the Royal Society of Musicians of Great Britain. Every day we see the physical and mental struggles that musicians can go through, so we're delighted to be part of this year's World Music Conference. It's also heartening to see that this year's focus is on children and adolescents. They are, after all, the future of music. The aims of the conference to combine mental health, music and fitness are so closely aligned with our work that we can't wait to take part, and we look forward to seeing you all there.
Dear friends, my name is Harald Chris and I am from Kefalonia, Greece. I am musical director and conductor of the Palace Philharmonic School of Music. I'm happy being among Global Steering Committee of the World Music Conference 2022 and being for a second time with you speaking about music education. The true purpose of arts education in general is not necessarily to create more professional artists, rather than to create more complete human beings who are capable to work together and share. Critical thinkers, curious minds who can lead productive lives. Looking forward to meet you during the World Music Conference 2022 on the 10th of December.
My name is Kyle Softman, and I'm the Program Director at Music in the Schools Foundation in California. We bring music into classrooms in underserved communities where they would otherwise not receive music education at all. At this conference, we're focusing on the health benefits of music, which is really important for our students who often go home to sit in front of the television for hours and hours, and they don't move. Music makes us move. We dance, we sing, we sway our arms, we might even jump up and down, but we move. And this changes our brains and our mood. When we're happier, we tend to be healthier. Songs with positive messages that carry throughout our lives help us feel better about ourselves. Not only does it aid in our physical health, but also our mental health.
It's been an honor to be on the Global Steering Committee for the World Music Conference organized by Chitra Ramakrishnan and the team. It's a very well curated, brilliant idea and a very good initiative for all, not just the music enthusiasts, but to the larger fraternity of cultural studies as well as health and science sector. And yes, music has been tremendous motivation and inspiration to many of them, and it is not just only on the forefront of culture as such. And today we have enough of data and science and research material to prove that music has a tremendous role to play in terms of mental health. Now we need to really push it further to really look into the multiple aspects of how music, art and society can really make much more impact and difference, which this conference is trying to explore with adolescents and children in terms of music and their awareness. So I wish the very best to the conference, and looking for a sustainable future of the conference and the ideas that would be really discussed within this particular initiative. And I also look forward for various such kind of conferences coming in the future in terms of its growth and the way how we can look into very meaningful vision to contribute to the society. So I wish everyone, all who have been a part of it, the team, Chitra Ramakrishnan and the team, and all the people who are being a part of it, along with the other steering committee members and all the participants, the very best, and looking forward for this beautiful conference. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to the World Music Conference 2022. I'm so excited to be part of this team and present to you as a Global Steering Committee member.
Hello, my name's Ollie Tunner. I'm the director of Beat Goes On and a former cast member of the hit show Stomp. We deliver in-person and online workshops throughout the UK and internationally. And we're delighted to be delivering a workshop at the World Music Conference for some Stomp-style body percussion. Now, body percussion is fun, it's high energy, it gets your blood going. Some people even refer to it as a little bit of creative PE. So if you'd like to get involved, join us at the World Music Conference for a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and a little bit of this. So, World Music Conference with Beat Goes On, and you can also follow us at Beat Goes On UK. See you soon.
أهلا وسهلا بحضراتكم. معكم محمد الفكهاني، خريج المعهد العالي للموسيقى العربية، قسم التأليف والنظريات والقيادة بأكاديمية الفنون. أعمل مؤلف وموزع موسيقي وقائد أوركسترا، وأنا أحد السفراء الدوليين لمؤتمر الموسيقى العالمي الذي يقام في برمنغهام بالمملكة المتحدة، وأنا أيضا أحد أعضاء اللجنة التنظيمية لاختيار الأعمال المشاركة في المؤتمر. دي دعوة لأولياء الأمور ولأبنائنا الطلاب الموهوبين في الغناء والشعر والرسم للمشاركة في مؤتمر الموسيقى العالمي، وأتمنى التوفيق للجميع. شكرا لكم.
Hi, my name is Professor Sandeep Renaut, and I'm delighted to be able to be with you today at the World Music Conference and share a few words really in support of why this is so important. My job currently is as the Executive Medical Lead for Mental Health for Greater Manchester Integrated Care System. So that's one of the largest integrated care systems in the UK at the moment, covering 2.8 million population, of which roughly 1/3, just under 1 million, are children, young people and young adults. I also still continue to work clinically for one day of my week as a consultant paediatric psychiatrist, a day that I hold dear to my heart and is one of the most important days of my week. And I currently have been, well, for many years, I deliver children and young people's eating disorder services and lead that for the region, as well as having done a lot of national work in that area. I think this is so important in the broader approach that we have to mental health and well-being. Everything from prevention to prescription. So everything from helping us all look after our mental health and well-being and therefore reduce the risk of developing mental illness, to, of course, where needed and where required, being able to meet the needs of those people who are suffering with mental illness with the right competencies, skills and access to treatment and support when that is required at the right place and the right time. Creative arts, including music very importantly, has a huge role at all points in that pathway and at all points of care. And that, I think, is what conferences like today are all about, bringing together so many different people and professionals from across different sectors, including those with lived experience, to come together as a whole system. And it is only until we build the ecosystem that we will really get to grips with what I guess is being described as the public health phenomenon of our time. So much so that the World Health Organization has adopted mental health as one of its biggest priorities for our future. And we need to all be involved. It is everybody's business. And I think for me, particularly, it is one of the reasons I chose mental health. And one of the reasons for the last 26 years I've been working with my colleagues across the system to ensure that mental health gets the same parity as physical health, and we stop talking about the two in a different way, and that we start talking about holistic health and well-being, and therefore finding holistic approaches to how we beat mental illness and how we also all look after our mental health and well-being to reduce the risk of becoming ill in the first place. This is crucial. We've been reminded by ancient philosophers to modern day princes that the greatest wealth is indeed our health, and there is no health without our mental health. We have a growing evidence base around the use of creative arts in mental health, from preventing mental ill health to also treating mental ill health and to helping people maintain their recovery and keep well. And music has a huge part to play in this, particularly for our young people and young adults who are still developing. And we know that the brain continues to develop until the age of 25. We know that music has huge impact from a sensory perspective to a soothing and calming perspective to a therapeutic perspective, and can also help to engage so many people when talking and talking therapies alone do not work to engage. So I think today is remarkable progress in identifying across the globe all the people and professionals that have not just an interest and a will and an enthusiasm, but also the skills and expertise to progress the research, building the evidence base, and then turning that research into practice so that we are all not just using music and creative arts to improve our mental health and well-being, but we're also considering now how we better use these modalities in assessment, engagement and treatment of mental illness. I, for one, certainly am a huge advocate and supporter, and I will continue to work tirelessly with all my colleagues here in the UK and across the world and across all our sectors to do all that we can to strengthen this area and how we both further research and build the evidence base and also use music and the wider creative arts in that holistic approach to mental health and well-being. I hope that you all enjoy thoroughly everything that this conference will bring to improve and grow our understanding in this area. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Professor Samuel Quinto from Brazil. I would first like to thank you for the honorable invitation extended to me by the World Music Conference and for the support provided by the British Carnatic Choir to facilitate my presence at this important event as an advisor. It's an initiative that, due to its pertinence and opportunity, will certainly make it possible to share points of view on the importance, implications, and possible deepening of the relationship between music and mental health. Thank you.
An obese child is often subjected to discrimination and stigmatization. This further leads to low self-esteem, social anxiety, and mood disorders, which further drives them to overeat and thus leads to the vicious cycle of obesity and mental health. Here we live as I talk about physical, social, and mental health implications of childhood obesity at the World Music Conference. I wish good luck to Ms. Ramakrishnan and her team for the 6th Annual World Music Conference 2022. I see you there.
I'm truly honored and humbled that I have been made a part of the 6th World Music Conference conducted this year, and I am very excited to be a part of a group of panelists sharing the little bit of their valuable experiences and wisdom with all of you. And I really hope most of you who have come here and been registered to be a part of this 6th World Music Conference will definitely find something very interesting that you could take along with you and practice it as your New Year's resolution. For those of you who have attended this conference year after year for the past 5 years, we are eternally grateful and we are so happy to know that you have come back to learn more, understand more, and evolve better with the help of the understanding that music is an integral part of our lives. For those of you who have registered for the first time, we are super excited to have you on board and we really hope that you enjoy each and every program that has been put together with such important topics and painstaking efforts that we are able to convey across to all of you that music and your life has an inseparable bridge to happiness. Enjoy, everyone.
We have Shruti Ramakrishnan, FRAS. She'll be talking about global prevalence and causes and risk factors of childhood obesity.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the World Music Conference 2022. I hope that you have an excellent and informative day that will provide you with a greater insight into dealing with childhood obesity from a different perspective. That which perhaps involves music as an intervention. So I'm just going to provide a little introduction about myself. My name is Shruti Ramakrishnan, and I'm currently studying dentistry at university. I'm also a keen musician, so the theme of this conference is very interesting to me, and I'm thankful to be involved in the planning and execution of this event. Today, my speech will provide a background into our chosen theme, which is essentially on the lines of using music to aid the physical health of children. So what I'll be doing is I'll be defining what childhood obesity is, providing some statistics, and then we'll move on to discuss why there's a need for further exploration into this topic. We need to be aware of some key terms. What I'm hoping to achieve what do we mean when we say overweight I'm hoping or to obese? Bring everyone up to speed with regards to the definition of this issue. A little bit tricky. So we'll be talking about, but in a clinical way, and other causative agents. A healthcare professional can determine if a person's health may be at risk by using that person's weight important, essentially. So to make a clinical diagnosis more straightforward, we can use a screening tool called the Body Mass Index, or BMI. So to calculate your BMI, you need to measure your weight in kilograms and your height in meters. Then what you do is divide your weight by your height squared, and this will calculate your BMI, so you'll get a number. Essentially, what the BMI does is it kind of is related to the amount of fat in the body. So a high amount of fat can raise the risk of many health problems. The issue with the BMI is that it's not always reflective of the proportion of fat in your body. So for example, an athlete who has a lot of muscle will have a high BMI, but they're not necessarily classed as obese. So there are flaws to this screening tool. This is generally, however, what we use. So I'm going to stick with this when we're talking about defining obese and overweight. So we can see from the diagram on the left, and it depicts the following classes of weights, I suppose. So overweight, the BMI of an overweight individual would be over 25, and the BMI of an obese individual would be over 30. So that's just some quantitative figures for you to keep in the back of your mind when we're talking about obesity and overweight in this talk. So the diagram on the right is a fun depiction of some key terms that we need to be aware of when we're talking about how common medical conditions are in real life. So we're talking about prevalence and incidence specifically. So these two terms are very, very easily confused. So what prevalence means is it's the proportion of individuals in a population who have a condition at a particular period of time, whereas incidence refers to the proportion of individuals who will develop a condition over a particular time period in a population. So prevalence is to do with people who have the condition, and incidence is to do with people who will develop the condition or who develop the condition during a time period. Hopefully, this clears the air a little bit. So now we're going to go on to talk about the prevalence of childhood obesity. Alarmingly, the World Health Organization found that globally in 2016, that 340 million children aged 5 to 19 were classed as overweight or obese. This is a shocking statistic. Now, if it's hard to visualize, there is a diagram on the side which should provide a visual representation that denotes a similar statistic. It's not exactly the same, since this is taken from NHANES, which is the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey in 2017 and 2018. So what we can see is that 16.1% of children aged 2 to 19 are classed as overweight, and 19.3% of people are classed as being obese, aged 2 to 19. Now, if this isn't shocking enough, what's even scarier is that this is triple the prevalence of childhood obesity in 1975. So this kind of also relates to the incidence, which we'll talk about in a moment. But you can see that this is an alarming increase in cases of childhood obesity. And you can see that this is therefore a huge public health crisis. Now let's consider where this is most common. When I was initially thinking about this topic, my assumption was that childhood obesity would be more prevalent in higher income countries and more developed countries due to an association with probably higher calorific diets or like more access to food there. However, what I found, which was very surprising, was that it's in fact that lower income countries or developing countries, middle income countries, these kinds of places are where obesity is more prevalent. Some studies have also found that there's a preference in gender, in terms of gender. So more males are typically obese compared to females in the children cohort. Finally, an interesting statistic to leave you with is that there are more overweight people globally than there are underweight. Big time period. What we can see is that there's an increasing incidence. So this graph, again taken from NHANES, so in 2017-2018, shows that through all age groups in children and adolescents, there is an increased incidence of childhood obesity. So you can see from 1963 all the way to 2017 to 2018. So it's not just a public health crisis, but it's a growing public health crisis. Hopefully, this will give you an understanding and appreciation of the severity and extent of this condition that's found globally. So, how did this come about? What are the causes and risk factors of childhood obesity? That's what we'll explore now. We'll start with a sedentary lifestyle. So if we know that childhood obesity is likely to be caused by an imbalance of calorific intake and calories expended, a sedentary lifestyle will mean that you're not using the energy that's provided by the food that you eat. And the extra energy that you consume is in fact stored by the body as fat in our adipocytes. Similarly, poor dietary consumption or poor choices dietary-wise and nutrition-wise, this can increase our calorific intake. Even if we are doing the correct amount of exercise and movement, if our calorific intake is too high compared to the calories that we use in terms of a poor dietary consumption, this can also be a causative factor for childhood obesity. In terms of psychological factors that lead to obesity, stress, sadness, anxiety, and other emotions can lead to people eating too much. Children are no exception. So we need to learn how to address these psychological issues in a healthier way and in a more productive way. Obesity could also be a genetic or hereditary condition. So if your family is all obese, you're more likely as a child to be obese. I also found a very interesting systematic review of literature which aimed to assess the risk factors of childhood obesity in the time period of conception to the age of 2 years. So this discussed some prenatal complications that can make childhood obesity more likely. So this study found consistent evidence that smoking during pregnancy is a risk factor for increased adiposity. To summarize this slide, a calorific intake and calorific expenditure, if there's an imbalance in this, you're more likely to become obese. This can be due to modifiably sedentary lifestyle, poor dietary consumption, and psychological instability. There are some factors that are perhaps less in your control, for example, genetics, prenatal complications, and birth weight. These kinds of factors are not really possible to change, whereas sedentary lifestyle, dietary consumption, and nutrition, and psychological instability are things we can target. So these are our main modifiable risk factors for childhood obesity. Are these the only risk factors though? Let's have a look. So childhood obesity can be impacted, or the prevalence and incidence of childhood obesity can be impacted by socioeconomic status. So what is socioeconomic status? Essentially, all it is the social standing or class of an individual or group. It's determined by things such as jobs, education levels, where you live. All of these factors will influence your socioeconomic status. And typically what's found in terms of prevalence of obesity, childhood obesity, is that in areas of deprivation where there's a lower socioeconomic status, this is where childhood obesity is even more rife, it's even more prevalent. Another interesting statistic or a bar chart found on the NHANES website, again from 2017 to 18, showed that race and ethnicity could perhaps impact the prevalence of childhood obesity. So are there specific races and ethnicities that are more predisposed to obesity? It's definitely worth looking into that. And this graph demonstrates that there is a difference. It's also worth considering environmental factors that surround children and influence their food intake and physical activity. So places like the home, family life, and school and the community can all impact the prevalence and incidence of childhood obesity. At home, the parent-child interaction is so important, as parents are the main people that influence the food choices and the food motivation, I suppose, to lead a healthy lifestyle within children. Schools have a similar hugely important role, as children spend a lot of their time, most of their time at school. So schools therefore should have a social responsibility and duty to promote healthier food choices and physical activity. In terms of the community, a lack of accessibility and affordability of healthy food can negatively impact nutrition. There could be fewer safe spaces for people to practice physical activity, like sidewalks, bike paths, and parks. All of these factors will increase the chances of developing childhood obesity. So it's not, the risk factors for childhood obesity extend beyond just an individual level. So there's an individual level, there's a familial level, there's a societal level, and it goes on and on and on. So it's a very huge disease. So now that we have an understanding of the magnitude of this disease and condition, and we now understand what causes childhood obesity in adolescents as well, let's discuss why this even matters. Is there any point in knowing about childhood obesity? Is there even a problem in there being a huge prevalence of childhood obesity? Let's discuss. So the consequences of childhood obesity are extensive. Firstly, obesity in childhood is far more likely to extend into adulthood, and this fact has been proven in countless studies, which will be linked at the end of this presentation. Furthermore, there's an increased life burden, not just on the individual, but on families, communities, and healthcare providers. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. There's also a further increased risk of developing negative health conditions. This is physical conditions, psychological conditions, and social conditions as well. So there's a huge impact of childhood obesity. Finally, in fact, not finally, but there is also the stigmatization of obese children. So we're going to unpack all of these a little bit more. This global health issue results in children having a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases, high blood pressure, increased cholesterol levels. They're more likely to acquire diabetes, type 2 diabetes, respiratory problems like asthma and sleep apnea and dysapnea as well are far more likely. Beyond this, childhood obesity can impact the musculoskeletal system. For example, an increased weight gain will impact the way you stand, the way you walk, the way you move. So it can impact your joints and it can cause muscle and bone disorders. So the health effects of childhood obesity are widespread. But this isn't where it stops. So there's also psychological and social health issues that spring from childhood obesity. So children who are obese are more likely to have a negative body image because of the way our society places importance on slimmer appearances. Although this is slowly shifting now, they're still more likely to have that negative body image and therefore develop a lower self-esteem. These children may go on to feel depressed, to feel nervous, and then therefore this will negatively impact their behavior. This can also impact their academia and their social progress. They might feel that they're socially discriminated and stigmatized by their peers and other adults. So we've also talked about the increased risk of health conditions and stigmatization of obese children. So it's kind of clear that from this, there will be an increased burden in their lives. So individually, in terms of the person who's afflicted with this condition, they're going to be affected quite severely. The families and people caring for these individuals are also going to be impacted. The communities around them are going to be impacted. And furthermore, the healthcare providers are going to face an increased strain in dealing with these kinds of patients. So the consequences of childhood obesity are incredibly important, and they're widespread. They extend beyond just the individual and impact the whole community, the whole society. It's very important. I'm now going to touch on the effect of COVID-19 on childhood obesity. So earlier we talked about the risk factors for childhood obesity, and the COVID-19 pandemic definitely exacerbated these factors for many individuals. With being in a pandemic, we weren't allowed to leave our houses, and this promoted a sedentary lifestyle even more. Not leaving our houses meant a reduced access to food, and healthy foods especially, and this led to poorer dietary consumption for many families. In terms of not being able to leave your house as well, this meant that breadwinners for the family, weren't able to go out and provide for their families. They weren't able to make the money, and therefore food choices may have been limited as well in terms of affordability, again leading to poorer dietary consumption. Humans are innately social creatures as well, and being confined in houses definitely saw an increase, essentially, in psychological conditions, in mental health issues, in terms of depression, in terms of anxiety. And this isn't just in adults, but it's also seen in children. which are seen on the slide. So what we can see is essentially the COVID-19 pandemic really just heightened and amplified all of those risk factors that we discussed for childhood obesity. And this is why we've seen an increase in childhood obesity since the pandemic has started. So, how can we reduce childhood obesity? This is the key concept that we need to start thinking about. And it's actually a talk that will be happening later on in today's conference. So please stay tuned for that. I hope that my talk today has been useful in providing you with a general overview of childhood obesity, of its prevalence, of its incidence, of its risk factors, of its importance. Why do we need to know about this? I hope that it's been very helpful. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I've linked my email at the end of this PowerPoint, and I've also linked all my sources if you would like to review anything that I've covered in today's presentation. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Goodbye.
I'm delighted to introduce our first keynote speaker, Dr. Shigan Blindish. Dr. Blindish is a diabetologist, diplomat in obesity medicine and lifestyle medicine. She is a writer and a chair of the Thought Leadership Committee and a board member of the American Diabetes Association. She is a speaker at University at Sea and adjunct faculty at Touro University. She will be joined by Gina Silver, and together they will deliver their keynote speeches on current interventions for childhood obesity management. Gina Silver has her master's degree in social work from Arizona State University, with a specialization in children and families. She has more than 15 years working with children.
Hello everyone, welcome to World Music Conference 2022. We are so excited to be part of this conference as a global steering committee. We are here to discuss about music to promote physical health in children and adolescents. I am Dr. Shagun Bindlish, diabetologist, internist, wellness coach, and a proud member of American Diabetes Association and Obesity Medicine Association. I practice currently in California, USA. Today, obesity is escalating in epidemic proportions around the world. People with obesity are very reluctant to seek even medical help. There are multiple challenges and barriers in promoting the health around the world. Have you ever wondered why? Choosing the right word in conversation and bringing awareness among the people of all age groups is mandatory, and it is actually our responsibility. So to discuss about how music can help and promote the physical health in children and adolescents, I have my colleague, Gina Silva, mental health specialist, here with me. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you, Shagun. My name is Gina Silva. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I am a child and family therapist, and I work in Oregon, United States. So now we will start with our learning objectives.
So today we are going to discuss about epidemiology, physical inactivity, and most important, the reasons why this epidemic is increasing at rapid pace. What are the factors that are associated with childhood obesity? And what are the current interventions to prevent this global pandemic?
We will start with a definition of childhood obesity is a serious medical condition that can impact children and adolescents.
So if we really go by the growth chart, we will understand what is obesity in childhood mean. So it's a body mass index at or above the 95th percentile as per the sex-specific growth charts. This worldwide epidemic has important consequences influencing and affecting childhood with physical inactivity, it creates psychiatric disorders and psychosocial implications on children. So what is the epidemiology and what is the prevalence of obesity in worldwide? As per WHO, that is World Health Organization and International Obesity Task Force, more than 1 billion children are overweight. More than 350 million are obese, and this number has doubled in 2020. And we all know that COVID-19 pandemic has huge impact in increasing these numbers. This problem was there right from the beginning, but pandemic has unfolded this chapter even more. We know how the screen time and the lifestyle, switching to gears to the sedentary lifestyle, has impacted every age group. So that is why obesity is basically increasing in epidemic proportions across the age, socio-cultural, and ethnic boundaries. And it's becoming our public health issue. So Gina, what do you think about impact of ethnic and socio-cultural boundaries?
Well, the latest information that we have is that it is impacting from, Latin America, Mexico, India, UK, United States, and we are seeing, like it says, a public health issue because it's across the board. Before we used to think that one of the main things is poverty, but now we are looking at across the board is happening. Countries, third world countries, what we consider third world countries, first country, everything is impacting everywhere.
And those low income group as compared to the higher socioeconomic status, education, all of those are still one of the common causes.
Yes. So what childhood obesity, why is so important that we review it?
So childhood obesity is basically standing on 3 pillars of lifestyle. And there are 3 major implications on the health. So it's from physical, which is our medical conditions, psychiatric, which is basically mental health, and then psychosocial, that is the impact of these changes in the psychosocial behavior, and economic status and other epidemiological factors are included in it. So in this presentation, we are first going to unfold some of these important pointers, why this is causing a major epidemic and how these factors are causing the weight gain in children. So first of all, let's talk about the physical cause of childhood obesity and what it can do. So there are multiple factors that are basically related to the medical conditions. For example, genetic diseases. There are multiple genetic diseases and conditions that are causing that can actually cause the obesity in childhood. So they are basically non-controllable factors. These and why is this important? So even if there is a genetic disorder, in the future medical condition and correlation that can cause functional impairment and comorbidities is huge. Nevertheless, we also should mention about the gestational diabetes. Gestational diabetes is one of the major cause that is increasing in rapid pace and causing insulin resistance and diabetes, bringing in not only in the mother, but also in the children. Mm-hmm. And these children are born with the weight which is already not in the normal range, and that is one of the major risk factors of developing obesity in future. Yeah. So what are these conditions do? These conditions can cause inflammatory skin conditions, diabetes and high blood pressure, respiratory problems and sleep disorders, and gastrointestinal symptoms, and I think the list goes on. Yes. I have not even listed here everything, but this list is definitely huge because it can impact each and every organ of the body. Mm-hmm. And these children we must be thinking about, do we see the respiratory disorders in children? Do we see the diabetes in children? Yes. So there is a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes in children nowadays. which was not there before. This is very prevalent and it is real. So Gina is going to discuss about how psychosocial causes of childhood obesity, which are our controllable factors, impact the childhood obesity.
So there are multiple factors. There are multiple ways in that obesity is produced for different layers. So the first one is that I would like to point is the home environment. Home environment is extremely important. One of the biggest things is due to the stressful life that we are living, multiple jobs, kids go to school, then come back, and then we have activities at night or different activities. So we really are not investing. Sometimes I hear in my practice, the quality time is driving from one place to another. So that is originating the lack of a positive interpersonal relationships between the parent and the child. Also, in order to pass time together, we are watching TV, but now we are watching too much TV because we are too tired, too exhausted to do things. Another part that I see is using only technology like video games to engage with the children. I have a lot of parents who are like, oh, I spend hours having game with my kid, and it was, Minecraft or different things for 3 hours instead of going outside and play and have, using the imagination, breathing and fresh air and doing different things. At home, we really install the habits about eating. So the type of foods that we have in the home, the lack of a structure or the structured routine that we have around food, time eating, and different ways so we can prepare food or not prepare food, open package, frozen food. All of that creates a trickle effect in the poor sleeping hygiene habits, which, as we will talk later, sleep is a key factor in everything when it comes into our body. A school environment. In the school, we haven't seen a short time for lunch. It used to be 1 hour, an hour and a half. Now we are in 15 to 20 minutes. We have reduced the recess or the time to play. So the children, they don't have time to engage fully with each other, which that creating plus COVID, as you mentioned it, Shagun, that created across the board lagging social skills. So kids don't know how to do conflict resolution, problem solving, or negotiation. Another part, it is the food systems. We have a surplus of processed food production, and we have the different policies in the agricultural policies, and of course marketing, which is big because the kids see announcing sodas on different products processed by their favorite actors, and they look great. So if I eat this, they give the concept that I will be looking like this person if I am eating this. And of course, there are multiple factors, but another one is the environment. We have air pollution, so we cannot go to walk or we cannot do exercise because the air is too heavy, too polluted. And also we don't have parks close to our home or recreational facilities to be able to access physical activity. So now we will go into the psychiatric disorders.
So mental health, that is one of another major pillar of our lifestyle medicine, which can impact obesity in a significant way. So all of these diseases which are mentioned here in adolescence, like depression, anxiety, eating disorder, that is poor body image, it is like either eating more, that is called bulimia, nervosa, or anorexia, which is too less eating. Any of those things are impacted. ADHD, attention deficit hypersensitivity disorders, it can be in the females, but it is actually across the gender. Propensity to addictive behavior due to pathways in the brain can cause any of these diseases and illnesses. In addition to these psychiatric disorders are actually basically can become a barrier in the treatment of mental health disorder. Any of these diseases, when they occur, a child or any person who suffers from the mental health problem, they go in the circle. So to either treat obesity, we have to correct the mental health as compared, and it is other way. So we are basically, they both are directly proportional to each other. So basically we have to balance both of them to have better impact in the lifestyle. So these are really, all of these diseases are causing the poor impact on the physical health of the children.
Mm-hmm. So now we have the psychosocial implications. So to mention some kids who have, they are overweight or obese, they have greater risk of being bullied and teased due to the overweight. Therefore, they will have a low self-esteem, they will have poor emotional well-being, a sense of not belonging and not looking like others, and that creates poor socialization, which usually one of the things that we see is that they have less engaged in healthy promoting behaviors. Well, if I don't feel that I fit and I am overweight, how I am going to do exercise? Or kind of like the joke that they say, in United States, you are the last one to be picked in a group because you don't look very athletic. And the other thing is that usually, unfortunately, they will not do a really good in the treatments. They will not have a good follow-up. But Shagun, you talk a lot about the stigmatization and bias.
Yes, Gina. So that studies show that bias in human beings start as early as like 32 months of age. Isn't it surprising?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. But therefore, addressing the weight bias and stigma are first vital steps to ensure that patients receive quality care and effective weight management. So just imagine that when we as an adult have this stigmatization or bias which can impact our mental health, for children, they get into this circle very, very quickly. All of these causes like low self-esteem, poor emotional status, bullying, all of these behavior are part of this stigma and bias. So we have to address this. This is very, very important.
So now let's start talking about what is the current interventions to prevent childhood obesity. So the current interventions from the Journal of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent of Psychiatry offers the following. The most effective treatments to reduce obesity include substantial parental component. And as I was explaining to you in the beginning, it is about everything starts at home. I know that we have, as a parents, we can say, well, but there is this and this and that, but really, kids are living with us. So as a parent, it's extremely important that we observe what we do, like I talked about before, eating habits, type of food that we have. Do we eat with a structure or no structure? Do we eat when we are stressed? That's what our kids are seeing. So the second, the current intervention is motivational interviewing, combined with cognitive behavioral therapy, which is combined with a family-based intervention. So cognitive behavioral therapy is completely behavioral. They are things that they are in the thoughts and how we are going to change with our behavior. And the family-based intervention, it requires a multidisciplinary team. We need to have the pediatrician, we need to have a psychiatrist, we need to have a family therapist, and we can have a physiotherapist so that we can know, it's not just get up and do exercise.
Mm-hmm.
People is like, well, just get up and stop eating and start doing exercise. Well, it's not that easy. We need to have a team. and the involvement of a school and communities. A school, we need to be promoting awareness and education of eating healthy habits and lifestyle patterns, like limiting technology time and engaging in exercise and physical activities. So I think there is another one, another intervention, Shagun, that you will start discussing more about.
So since we are at the World Music Conference, we definitely want to talk about the music, which is one of the very, very important intervention in preventing childhood obesity. So music is such a powerful emotion of human life. Some call it a universal language, while others call it the window to the soul. Music is a form of expression that can make a deeper connection and build relationships. So, and we all know that music is so powerful. So when you receive a sequence of sounds, the brain tries to impose the structure and order, and this creates entirely a new system of learning. So that is the reason we want to say that music is empowering. So it is a very powerful tool that can improve cognitive, social, physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And who doesn't want their kid to have that? It is such a powerful tool that we all should use. Music and movement activities stimulate and engage the brain, improve coordination and physical abilities. It can strengthen social skills and teach emotional expression in a healthy way. It can also decide what kind of physical activity you want to be in. Whether you just want to be relaxing, you can choose a slow music, and the intensity of music actually can decide how vigorous is your physical activity. Every age group in the childhood, no matter right starting even from the 6 months of age, we need some physical activity, and it is defined by every age group. So on an average, 60 minutes of exercise is very important. So it can be in form of any of the sports, but music can help to build that habit much more easily. Next slide.
So music and mental health. The rhythm, kind of like Shagun, you were talking about, that the intensity is the rhythm, the high beat or the lower beat, and the lyrics are important to have important effect in the overall health. Music, again, it needs to be introduced and learned at home. If your parents don't expose you to music, it's very difficult that a 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old will be like, oh, I have this music and I will do this music. So that's why it's so important. The emphasis that I'm putting in the parents, the home is so important. What positive lyrics does to anyone, but more for the children and the youth, because they are more the plasticity is ready there, but also they are more impressionable. So they can enhance self-esteem, but also it can reduce the use of technology because they are busy dancing, singing, so their body's energized and they are ready to be alert to learn. In music, in schools, it can reduce stress when they are doing an exam or when they are doing a group project. Also, it can enhance classical music, for example. It can enhance a relaxation time and increase enjoyment. So when you have enjoyment, you are, again, when we are relaxed, when our brain is relaxed, we learn. No matter what we learn. So that is why it's so important, the music. Reduce also the self-awareness of lacking athletic skills. I hear so many kids telling me, I am like, what are you doing in PE? And they're like, I'm sitting. I'm like, why? Well, because I am not really good, or they always pick me the last. And if we have music, it doesn't matter how you look like. Everybody can be dancing, free dancing, and you are not so much about how people are looking, because everybody's actually enjoying music, dancing, and engaging in a physical activity. As you can tell, I love music. I grew up with music and I love music. I think music, and I recommend it to my patients music all the time. That is next for you.
So music and nutrition. So you must be wondering how music can help with the nutrition. Yes, it can. So music can divert the mind and help with limiting snacking and stress eating behavior. Isn't it interesting? So what we do usually is like when the boredom and fatigue is one of the common time when we reach out to the comfort foods. The comfort foods are those packaged snacking foods that we reach out to, and we want to basically help with our hunger cravings. Especially during the COVID-19, since our lifestyle has moved towards the sedentary lifestyle, sitting on the TV, computer screen, it's not only for children, for adults too. What are we doing is that with their busy mind, we are not thinking about what our hand is picking and putting in the mouth. So that is what is called cravings. So when you are busy and engaged with the music, it can cause relaxation of your mind and divert your mind from those cravings. So that is the reason how music can basically improve your nutrition and gear you towards the healthy behavior. So this is, again, starts from the home, starts from the parents. And when you are implementing in your lifestyle, you can definitely implement in your children's lifestyle. And that's what you have to be a role model for them. Music can improve sleep hygiene, reducing sleepiness and fatigue in children. So that's the reason that tiredness and boredom is a key factor of craving. And sleep hygiene is one of the most ignored pillar of the lifestyle medicine, because we are sitting with the gear, with the phone, with the gears, like technology, like Dina said, with your computer, with your iPads, sitting till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and most important, one of the common things, binge watching the Netflix or Amazon Prime TV shows. That is actually taken over our sleep time, which is super important. And there is many studies and studies that have shown that lack of sleep can cause sleep apnea, it can cause diabetes, high blood pressure, multiple of the common medical problems that are associated with obesity. So sleep hygiene is very, very important.
Yes. So we are almost wrapping up, and I would like to offer information. It's information about general information about a program that is called Recess Rock. That program was implemented by Michelle and Barack Obama, our ex-president. And it literally was, as I don't know if you know, but well, I know that you know, but in the rest of the world, Michelle Obama had really an initiative about reducing obesity, childhood obesity. And she did all kinds of great programs. And this is one of the programs that still is in working, and the website has information, curriculum and different things. And the other one, the examples of music for teens, I just wanted to share it with you and with, all our, in our conference, that there's a couple of songs that I personally listen to. It brings my morning up, and I try to invite children and the youth, the parents, to listen to, because again, we need to walk the walk. And I will say, I start my day with music.
Yes. So these are super helpful information and very nice songs that you can actually look into and see if you want to advise your children to make a playlist for them with the happy moments or happy songs or whatever they like, which will boost their mood. And that is what is going to be more important to help them improve their lifestyle. And also it has to be looked in the challenges of using music to improve the well-being of children has to be seen from every perspective. It's not only from parents, it has to come from the school, from the teachers, from the friends. And if you really look at the global part of it, just lack of education and awareness is actually at every level, even at the government level. We have lack of funding for few of the programs, physical activity programs, lack of time for the healthcare professionals to engage or inform their patients or their parents or children about how to take new steps and measures to implement and emphasize some of the important lifestyle changes. So we have to really take a step back and think what programs and how collectively we all can take steps and measures to improve the childhood obesity and improve the health right from the beginning. Children are basically it is a basic of our life, and that's what you don't want them to grow as obese. You want them to grow healthy. So this is why we came here today to bring education and awareness. And please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. We will add on our contact information here. So thank you very much, Gina, for joining me to discuss such an important topic. And I think we truly enjoyed, and I hope our information is going to be useful for you all.
Yes. No, thank you, and thank you all.
Riddhi Doshi Patel is a child psychologist, parenting counselor, TEDx speaker, and the founder of LAJA. She will share her insights on the physical, social, and mental health implications of childhood obesity.
Namaste. This is Riddhi Doshi Patel from Mumbai, India. And I'm here to talk about implications of childhood obesity on a child's mental health in my capacity as a child psychologist and a mental health professional. I work with children and I work with parents. To begin with, implications of childhood obesity on children, let me tell you a real-life incident. Siddhi, a 10-year-old who weighed more than others of her age, she struggled with making friends in school as everyone was avoiding her. She couldn't get into any sports teams or engage in any other activities. There were days when she couldn't stop eating sweets and other fatty foods, and days when she would not take a bite of it, with feeling guilt, with shame and worry. She was borderline diabetic, and at a very young age, she was already going down the mental health turmoil. We often see such children around us in society, but we brush it off by calling them names like Moti, that's fat, or a potato. It's a time that we realize what all this is really about. Let us understand what is actually childhood obesity. It's a condition in which a child is significantly overweight for his or her age and height. There may be no symptoms other than the weight that's above average. Although it can be caused by several reasons, the main ones boil down to issues in lifestyle, that too little activity and too many calories from food and irritant drinks. Genetic and hormonal factors also play a role in this, and which cannot be ignored at all. Childhood obesity may have numerous implications, not only on one aspect of life of the child, but on the child's life as a whole, and for years to end. What are the physical implications? Let us understand that. Most famously known several physical implications that may include type 2 diabetes. First, the child may experience weakness, blurred vision, need to urinate frequently, irritability, or constant mood changes and excess thirst. Beware that although girls are more prone to getting this, boys are also facing this issue. Second, high cholesterol. It is caused by unhealthy diet, especially one lined up with fatty foods and oily substances. all the junk food that they have outside might taste good, but affects the child's body in many, many ways, other than simple ones, but to more on the worst side. There are no such symptoms for high cholesterol, hence it is advisable to have your child's cholesterol checked if they fall under the overweight category. Parents, get your radars on when you see that your child is into the category of overweight. Third, high blood pressure. Overweight children are prone to hypertension. This may lead to having other organs of the body function with less efficiency and deteriorate quickly over time. Fourth, joint pains. The stress of too much of weight too early in life can lead to arthritis as well. Extra weight in the joints and places where more pressure can be experienced, specifically the cartilage, which provides a cushion between the joints as bones move against each other. More weight leads to more cartilage wear and damage as the body works to absorb the stress of movement. The child may have increasing pain over the growing years. Fifth, breathing problems. Extra fat on child's neck, chest, across the abdomen can make it really difficult for the child to breathe normally and may produce hormones that affect his or her body breathing pattern. The child may also have problem with the way his or her brain controls breathing. Sixth, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It is caused when too much fat builds up in the liver, mainly because of poor eating habits and lack of physical activity. Research suggests fatty liver disease seems to develop in more boys than girls and can develop in children as young as 10 and even younger. It may lead to inflammation and cell damage, as well as other digestive system problems. Seventh, coronary heart diseases. Adding onto the lines of the cholesterol and fats in almost every vein in and around the heart, heart disease comes as a given and end result if the damage is not reversed before time. Parents, get aware, be mindful in regard to your child's weight. Going further, the obesity in children just not affect them physically, but it has social implication as well. Let us understand what are the social implications. Appearance is one thing. Most of us are judged, and most of us judge other people as well. As it rightly said, you understand the book from the cover. You get attracted towards the book through its cover. Social psychology suggests that to feel like a part of a group or to feel important, noticed and validated as well, we tend to be around people who would make us look good and in all terms avoid the ones who would not. Children suffering from childhood obesity are more often than not looked upon or left to sit alone in the classroom, play areas, societies, and even during festival celebrations. To summarize and explain it better, the list of some social implications that they faced almost on daily basis. First, bullying, being considered or being avoided. We as adults often fail to realize that we are making someone feel that they are not part of a group or don't belong to somewhere they actually might be. Imagine young children who don't even understand these concerns or the concepts, yet face this almost regularly. The same names which family members and relatives call them with big smiles or pulling their cheeks are now the names they are being called, rather catcalled by their friends and the classmates. A Motu, A Golumolu are just some examples. It might seem like a joke to most at the start, but the child hearing this takes upon the text and so often subconsciously associates self with the given tag like circle, fact, animal, football, and so on and so forth. This makes the child more prone to rather keeping quiet and choosing corners to sit or stand alone in all the social situations. You might find your child saying at a wedding reception, standing aloof, chugging down his feelings with soda, ice cream, or a cake, or any sweet items that is easily available. He or she may be known more by the fact tag given to the person or by the name, which ideally is or her identity, and the most important, the unique one. Second, less or no close relationship outside of family. This is another given and very unfortunate. When the child starts to be aloof or apart, only finding comfort in food as an irony, he or she fails to form any kind of human connection outside the people at home. He or she may sit alone in the school, may differ from participating in the group contest or the group activities at school or in the society. Third, low confidence. He or she would not speak up. Research says that one is happy, they dress, they feel good, they smile, and they show the happiness. And that's how they feel more confident. This is just not true with the children who are obese, but they are often made to realize and pointed out on basis of their appearance more than it is required. The children may not indulge in any talk, even casual in the case of encountering one. The child may run away or find out ways to subtly head out of the conversation. Fourth, body shaming. Another cause of child's aloofness in social situations. Might be how the first thing that most would notice and bring out to start a conversation, and that is very, very unfortunate. Comments like, "You have gained more weight, I feel," or "You seem to enjoy a lot of chocolates and candies these days," might be perceived as harmless for us, but not for those children who are obese. It is almost equivalent to shaming the child to the core that where she or he may never look at herself in a better way and might start hating himself or herself completely. And here I mean her or his own body. Fifth, the social withdrawal. As an end result, the child would avoid all type of social events and might throw even tantrums if the child is forced to attend one. The child may sit and spend most of her time and possibly feel very anxious and panic, thinking whether the parents or the relatives will force him or her to be a part of social events or social gatherings. God forbid, if they have to face such crowd, they will panic more, even outside the members living under the same roof. My heart goes out for all those children who have been facing this. Let's understand the implications on the mental health, and which is very, very important. All of this might target the child's self-image and mental health, which is equally damaging. Low self-esteem and confidence may differ from looking at self as no one, with no worth, and become a pushover or be a person who people can walk over anytime. Anxiety being the second implication on mental health. Building up from facing other people who might not necessarily fall into the same appearance category or being around someone who has bullied them in the past. Third, and one of the important criteria or implication on the child's mental health is depression. As a result of social withdrawal, anxiety, and low self-esteem, childhood depression may be determined for the child's mental health, pushing him or her into an emotional turmoil at a very, very young age. Next is self-loathing. The child may start hating himself or herself for eating too much or looking like they do, and hence engage in even more dangerous and unhealthy coping strategies like eating their feelings or having bouts of crying and bouts of anger. Self-hate may become an everyday concept for such children. Fifth, very important, suicide thoughts. The child may consider harming self, cutting, starving, or ending life. Loneliness being the sixth one. The child may not be able to come up and talk about their side, their feelings, their emotions, or even ever ask for help from close family members. Imagine when the child is unable to seek help, talk about what he or she is feeling. How much is the child battling within? How much he or she is bottled up with emotions and feelings? This is something which we need to understand as adults. Very important aspect here, which I'm going to discuss. What can we do as parents, as adults, as friends to all those children? Especially parents. Have healthy snacks available at all the time for the child. It is a psychological fact that when we see more often becomes what we start craving for. The knowledge that healthy food is available gives the child no excuse not to eat healthy. Be there to support your child. Listen to the child. Don't be judgmental while you listen to the child. Control on your thoughts so that you don't start judging your child. You're in your head. Understand the feelings, the emotions that has been associated with the child while the child is just talking about himself or herself. Ensure that you use the golden words, I understand, very often. You can also use I'm there with you for the child to open up about events that might be happening when you are not around that are causing the child to feel really low. Third, choose non-food rewards. No candies, no biscuits, no ice creams. But you can always go for healthy snacking items or like apple or nuts. Also, you can implement reward system in terms of a family cycling together or a family game or a movie out or maybe a trek or a hiking out. Everything beyond food needs to be taken into consideration as parents. Go creative, be innovative, and start thinking, how can you help your child in this particular situation? Fourth, involve them in outdoor or active indoor sports like cycling, swimming, yoga, gymnastics, and so on. Go with them, enroll in those classes. You being them gives them a lot of moral and emotional support. And as parents, it's a responsibility to give that to our child. You can always play a quick game of cricket and football with your child on weekends. You can always go for cycling together. You can always go for jogging together. You can always go for skipping together. There are a lot of things which can be done together just to be a part of your child's lifestyle. Fifth, Encourage good sleeping habits and also eating habits at the same time. Fixed time for sleeping, fixed time for eating. That matters a lot. 6, set a good example in the family by eating healthy and exercising regularly. What the child sees is what your child will try implementing. They tend to mirror and educate them by living that lifestyle yourself. It is important that you walk a talk and let the child mirror it from you rather than just a talk. Remember, the greatest wealth is health. Now, few tips from my end in terms of supporting your children when they are really feeling low. You can take your chart papers, give some watercolors to your children or to your child. One end of the chart paper can be taken by you and one end of the chart paper can be taken by a child. Dip your fingers in those watercolors and play a soft instrumental music side by side. Dip your fingers and start creating something on the chart paper together. Colors work amazing on subconscious mind, and this is going to help your child to remove all those bottled up emotions or negativity which the child is holding on to. That will help the child to give a shape to what is bothering him or her and convey it to the parents. And the second tip for all of you parents is play a music and with your child, start shaking your body. That will help your child to be in your and now. The child is not in the past, the child is not in the future. And while the child is in your and now, and when you then address his or her problems, you can help your child to understand better. And the child has created a bonding with you to share. I hope this presentation and the talk associated with it has given you a few tips and techniques, and hope this helps you as a parent or a guardian or a friend to the child. Namaste and thank you so much.
Our next keynote speaker is an author, heart-healthy speaker, and a researcher physician. Dr. Akil Taher will speak about the impact of COVID on childhood obesity.
Impact of COVID-19 on childhood obesity. Childhood obesity has been rising all over the world. 2019 estimates were that 158 million children aged 5 to 19 are obese, of whom many live in low to middle income countries. However, there has been limited progress to halt the rise in more than 20 years, and this number is projected to increase to 254 million by 2030. Childhood and adolescent obesity increases the risk of hypertension, as well as the risk of mental health challenges, bullying and poor school achievements, and in the longer term, it leads to adult obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases, which can lead to premature morbidity and mortality. The major risk factors for childhood obesity are unhealthy diets, physical inactivity, socioeconomic factors, and psychosocial stress. Decision makers have made drastic changes to individuals' lives in the effort to protect people from COVID-19, including school closures and confinement. With more than 80% of the world's children being affected by school closures and the consequential disruption of lives, child health has been put at risk, and childhood obesity has risen disproportionately. The rise of childhood obesity during COVID-19. diet changes in children during COVID. Many people depend on school meals to ensure appropriate nutrition, and these meals have been disrupted during lockdowns. In the United States alone, more than 30 million children receive free or subsidized school lunches, and closure of schools caused an increase in food insecurity. Obesity and food insecurity coexist in many children and adolescents. For example, because of a lack of access to fresh produce and whole grains, which causes many low-income communities to rely on affordable yet calorie-dense foods that are low in nutritional content, creating further malnutritional challenges. A multi-country study showed that the food consumption and eating patterns of many adolescents have deteriorated during the pandemic, including having more snacks, eating out of control, and eating unhealthy food types. School closures, physical inactivity, and mental health. School closures and confinement have increased children's and adolescents' sedentary time. For example, daily sitting time rose from 5 hours to 8 hours, screen time increased, less time was spent outside. Globally, the lockdown has also led to less overall physical activity. Additionally, sedentary behavior is associated with depressive symptoms and psychological stress, which have been further triggered by decreased social interactions, fear of cancelled exams, and social distancing during school closures. The increased anxiety can lead to overeating, causing obesity and further psychological issues, as well as low self-esteem in the future. Rising childhood obesity rates, long-term consequences, and enhance existing inequities. As expected, evidence of increased childhood obesity rates in all age groups during the pandemic has emerged, with pre-existing disparities appearing to have worsened. The long-term consequences of childhood obesity are well established, and they include the risk of heart diseases, cancer, mental health disorders, and diabetes, as well as complications with subsequent morbidity and premature mortality. There is a positive association between these conditions, low income, low socioeconomic status, and low educational status. Therefore, the increased levels of childhood obesity will likely enhance existing inequities, and families living in poverty will continuously do so in future generations, for example, because of health expenditures and unemployment caused by the diseases, thus maintaining the vicious cycle of poverty. The effects of COVID-19 on children with obesity. Systemic reviews and meta-analysis have found that children with obesity are at a higher risk of both severe respiratory disease due to COVID-19 and multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, MIS-C, relative to healthy children. Mitigating the rise in childhood obesity. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, almost all countries in the world were already off track in achieving the World Health Organization goals for childhood obesity. In the coming years, we expect a drastic rise in childhood obesity as an indirect effect of COVID-19, which will lead to increased vulnerability to future epidemics and potential pandemics. mitigating the negative effects of pandemic response. In a pandemic, it is necessary to adopt the most effective and least harmful mitigation strategies while continuing to focus on the health challenges that existed prior to the outbreak. During lockdown, children should continue to have access to healthy school meals, and policies promoting physical activity should be in place. For example, activities organized by the school authorities allowing 60 minutes a day outside of home for exercise. Safe reopening of schools is an essential tool to protect child health and ensure continued education and learning. Ensuring social safety nets for vulnerable populations during a pandemic can prevent poverty, support children's and adolescents' access to healthy foods and education, and in turn avoid unintended outcomes with detrimental long-term impacts such as dropping out of school for short-term jobs, early marriages, and teen pregnancies. Childhood obesity is not a political priority. Despite the concerning developments in existing policy gaps, obesity and mental health have not been a political priority lately because of COVID-19's precedence. This is evident, for example, by the disruption of health services, reallocations of budgets to support COVID-19 interventions. On the global political stage, COVID-19 was a primary theme of World Health Assemblies in 2020 and 2021. Other health topics were discussed, but they did not receive the attention that the related burden of disease and global inaction calls for. Childhood obesity is on the rise, and this trajectory has been exacerbated by COVID-19 pandemic because of decisions made by leaders at different levels such as heads of state, ministers of health, mayors, United Nations agencies, and school principals and boards. By making global leaders consider the direct and indirect effects of mitigation policies during and after this pandemic, and by not losing sight of existing policy gaps in the meantime, we can strive toward a new normal in which the hard-won advances in global child and adolescent health achieved over many past decades are not merely negated by a global rise in childhood obesity.
Next, we have a workshop on body percussion by Oli Tunma. He's the director of Beat Goes On, specializing in storm-style body percussion and Afro-Brazilian percussion.
Hello, this is Oli Tunma, the director of Beat Goes On. We're a UK-based percussion workshop company delivering workshops based around percussion throughout the UK and internationally. If you'd like to get in touch with us, follow us at Beat Goes On UK. You can check out our website, beatgoeson.co.uk. There's a book we've got available there. You can get in touch with us in terms of in-person and online workshops. All sorts of fun and games. Now, we are here to do some body percussion, but body percussion to really get our bodies going. So we're going to crack straight into it, a little rhythm that goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slap, clap, 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 jump. Okay, so we're going to be slapping here. We're clapping 3 times, and on the third clap, we jump and land with a clap as well. Let's try that once. 1, 2, ready, go. Slap, clap, 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 jump. Brilliant. Let's try that 4 times through. 1, 2, ready, go. Slap, clap, 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 jump. 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 Fantastic job. Now after that, we're going to count to 8 as we're stepping. So we're going to go forward, forward, back, back, forward, forward, back, back. There were 8 steps there. Let's try it together, counting 8 as we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Amazing. We're now going to try putting what we've just put together. We're going to add the jumping and the clapping with the 8, and then we restart the slap, clap, clap, clap rhythm again. Here we go. Get ready. 1, 2, ready, go. Slap, clap, 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 jump. Slap, clap, 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 jump. Slap, clap, 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 jump. Slap, clap, clap. 8 beats. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fantastic. This time we're going to loop the whole thing and we're going to gradually speed up. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Slap, clap, 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 jump. Slap, clap, 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 jump. Slap, clap, 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 jump. Slap. Here we go to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Start again. Slap, clap, 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 jump. Slap, slap, clap, 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 jump, slap, clap, clap, clap. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and again. Slap, clap, 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 jump, slap, clap, 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 jump, slap, clap, 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 jump, slap, clap, clap, clap. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Slap, jump, slap, jump, slap, jump, slap. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Amazing. Already you can probably feel your heart racing. All good stuff. Lovely. So a simple hands stomping with numbers thing going on. All good fun. If it starts falling apart a bit as a group, it's all good. It's most important that we're getting our hearts racing, having a fun time doing it. I'm already losing my breath, but it's all good. Now, the next little rhythm we're going to try is based on some work we've done on BBC 10 Pieces, which is this BBC initiative. It started a few years ago now, but it's kind of carried on, and particularly based around a piece from it called Connects It by composer Anna Meredith. So check that out if you can. We're going to do a rhythm that's inspired by that called the Rainbow, and it goes like this. 1, 2, just me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, jump, and there's going to be lots of jumping claps going on, but each time we do it, we're going to turn to this way, and then we're going to turn to that way, and then we turn to that way, and then we turn to that way. So one time through is going to go like this. 1, 2, just me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, jump, and again. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, jump, and again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, jump, and again. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, jump, and there we go. Right, let's try that together. Get ready? I'll turn the way we're going to be going first, so mirror me. Here we go. Get ready? 1, 2, starting with the 8, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, stomp, and clap. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, stomp, and clap. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, stomp, and clap. Last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, stomp, and clap. Brilliant. So not only are we developing some cool sounding rhythms, not only are we getting our hearts racing, but we're also kind of thinking about a little visual element, the choreography of the rhythm, so the rhythms look as good as they sound. Now, there's a little groove that I taught on a CBeebies show, a children's BBC show a few years ago, and it goes a little like this. 1, 2, it goes like this. Stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp. Lovely. Takes a little bit of the rhythm, mana, from that Muppet song you might be aware of. So it starts with a stomp, then the clap. Let's try that together. Stomp, clap, and again. Stomp, clap. Oh, one more time. Stomp, clap. Then we have the mana. Just 4 syllables there. So it's stomp, clap, mana, clap. Let's try that together. Ready, go. Stomp, clap, mana, clap. Lovely. Now each time we repeat it, there's an extra stomp. So the first time it's just stomp, clap, mana, clap. But the next time, stomp, stomp, clap. Okay? So let's try 3 in a row. Get ready. 1, 2, from the first one, go. Stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp. Clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp. Lovely. As you probably notice, each of my stomps, I'm kind of not stomping on the middle. I'm doing a stompy shuffle, shuffling forward each time. Stomp, 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 stomp. Have a little boogie while you're doing it. Lovely. And again, while we do this one, there's going to be 3 of them. And then on every 4th time, we turn around. In fact, let's turn this way first of all, okay? So 3 stomp, mana, claps. On every 4th bar, we go stomp, 2, 3, 4, and then we go this way, and then we go this way, and then we go this way, and then we come back. Let's try it. Get ready. 1, 2, with the word. Stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp. Turning this way. Ready, go. Stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp. Clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp, facing the other way. Try not to watch me. Stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp. Clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp. Clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp. This way. Hello again. Stomp, clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp. Clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp. Clap, mana, clap, stomp, stomp. Fantastic. Excellent job. Really, really well done. Okay, now just to finish off, because I'm keeping a little bit around the time, sometimes it's nice to do body percussion just here and there, just on your own, and you can change the tempo. You can make rhythms slower, you can make them faster, but it's also nice to play body percussion along with songs that you may know. Now, one really lovely example is the James Brown song, I Got Ya, I Feel Good. And now you may well know it. It's the one that goes, I feel good, I knew that I would. Now, unfortunately, you're going to have to put up with my singing for this bit, but even better, sing louder than you can hear me, and then you can listen to your lovely voices. Okay, now, the nice thing about this song, it's a great message. I feel good. It's all full of positivity and good vibes, and the rhythms of it are fantastic to adapt onto our bodies. So we're going to start with the chorus, the bit that goes, I feel good. I'm going to play it like this. I feel good. Boom, jack, jack. Okay, so it starts with a stomp. I feel good. Okay, so good's on the stomp. Then we have boom. Let's just do the first bit up to there. So we go stomp, thigh, thigh, belly, belly, chest, chest, stomp, clap, clap. Let's try it together. I feel good. Boom. I knew that. Okay, I'm going to play that through a few times. If you're not so familiar with it, I'd recommend have a little bit of a listen to it first and then play along, because we are playing the rhythms of the piece here. Get ready? All together after I feel good. I feel good. I knew that I would. I feel good. I knew that I would. Now, here we go. Lovely. Okay, so that's 4 times through. Then we have the bit that goes, so good, bum, bum, so good, bum, I got you. So for those so goods, clap, clap. You can clap wherever you want to. You can high-five the people you're in the room with. You can clap behind your back, underneath your leg. It's all good. Do it different each time. Let's try it together. So good, bum, bum, so good, bum. And again, so good, bum, so good. Then we have, I got you, bum, 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 bum. And there's 5 beats there. We're going to play them on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So hips, thighs, belly, chest, clap. So it's, I got you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brilliant. Okay, then it goes back to, I feel good. I think the words are slightly different, but the rhythm's the same. I feel nice, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. A sugar and spice, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. I feel nice, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. A sugar and spice, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Here we go. So good, so good. I got you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brilliant. Now, there's a little instrumental bit. Boom, bum, bum, ba-da-dum, boom. During which we're going to be going, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, bum, 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 ba-dum, boom, boom. So it's just stomp, clap, 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 stomp, clap. Let's try that together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, bum, bum, ba-da-dum, boom, boom, bum, bum, ba-da-da. Now, then there's a little bit, when I hold you in my arms. Now for that little bit, there's a few options here. You could freestyle if you wish. You could play literally whenever you want. And sometimes when I do this, I do a really, really, really tricky rhythm that goes. But we're not going to learn that today. But if you check out our YouTube channel, you can learn that slowly. But for now, I've only got a couple of minutes left. So we're going to do a visual development of our boom, ba, 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 boom. And we're going to go dun. So when we go here, we're stretching out this whole area here for that bit. We're going in front. So boom, bum, bum, dun, dun, with dun. When I hold you in my arms, when I hold you in my arms, and boom, bum, 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 keep going. Ba-ba-da-bum, bum, bum. And then we stop, and then we go into the chorus. I feel good, ba-da-da-da-da-da. I knew that I would, ba-da-da-da-da-da. I feel good, ba-da-da-da-da-da. I knew that I would, ba-da-da-da-da-da. So good, so good. So good. I got you, bum, 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 bum. Okay, and then towards the end, there's not 5 of these, but there's 10 of these, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it does the first 5, then it comes down pretty much the same way: chest, belly, thighs, hips, stomp, and then there's a big. So let's try those last 10. Get ready. I got you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Drum roll. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So try that a few times. Once you're really familiar with it, check it out along with the track and you have lots and lots of fun. So guys, it's been an absolute pleasure making brilliant percussive noises with you. Once again, check out this. It's got lots of videos and rhythm grids in it. You can get it from our website, which is there if that with the writing, but beatgoeson.co.uk. Follow us on all social media, Beat Goes On UK, and we are of course available for online and more importantly, in-person workshops where we can work with you one-to-one. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Have a great rest of the conference. Ciao for now.
Hi guys, my name is Gustavo Henrique de Souza. I live in São Paulo, Brazil, currently studying music production on IMB Morumbi, and my professor is Samuel Quinto. I came here today to tell you guys how important is the music in my daily life. I started playing the guitar since I was 11, and since then I always try to bring the music to go along with my daily affairs, because it can motivate and facilitate those affairs. Music is magic.
Hi guys, my name is Cedric. I'm from Santo André, Brazil. I'm 36 years old. I study at University IMB Morumbi. My professor is Samuel Quinto. Music for me is essential for physical and mental health. Music helps creativity and memory, reduces pain and stress. Music can heal trauma and make you dream again. Music saves lives.
My name is Francisco Geraldini and I'm from São Paulo, Brazil. I'm 20 years old and currently I am Professor Samuel Quinto student at IMB Morumbi University. Because I'm a singer, my body is my instrument. So in order to sing well, I must do breathing exercises, body stretches, and sometimes some core strengthening exercises. And those are some of the ways, but the most important ones, that music helps me stay active and healthy in my day-to-day life.
I see you, I feel you, that's how I know you. Go on, far across the distance and spaces between us, you have come to show you. Go on, near, far, wherever you are, I believe that the heart does go on. Once more you open the door and you're here in my heart, and my heart will go on and on.
ما بين رنين الكاس ورنة الألحان، أدي الأوان مياس يعاصف الأبصار، تم النعيم للروح والعين، تم النعيم للروح والعين. ما تخلي قلبك يتهنى، أدي الحبايب عالجنبين، أدي الحبايب عالجنبين. إيه اللي فاضل 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 عالجنة، إيه اللي فاضل عالجنة. يا بطاقية الشبيكة من شغلها لك، شغلت بيها البلد ولا انشغل بالك. يا بطاقية الشبيكة مين شغلها لك؟ يا بطاقية الشبيكة ضحكتك غنوة، اللولي سقف لها والورد الحلوة، والطبع الحسن طبعا حلو والإيواء. يا بطاقية الشبيكة مين شغلها لك؟ يا بطاقية الشبيكة يا عزيز عيني، يا عزيز عيني، خدك حرق مهجتي ورمشك طرف عيني، رمشك طرف عيني. أبكي على مهجتي ولا على عيني يا بطائي يا الشبيك مين شغلها لك؟
سر السعادة في بيتك تعالى وسط ناسك تعالى وافرح هنا املى قلبك أمان هتملى المكان سعادة وهنا السعادة في ايديك هتلاقيها لما تقدر تسيب تأثير كبير فرحة متبسمة ومتقسمة على قلوب كتير على ميعاد معاك كل ليلة هنا فرحة بتلم عيلة ضحكة في عيون الحبايب سعادة زيادة على طبيعتك انت في مكانك مرتاح وناسك امانك الفرحة دقت ببانك ندهالك جيالك سر السعادة بيعرف طريقك كل ما تروح مكان بيحلو بيك لحظة تفرق معاك وسط ناس عايزاك وبتسأل عليك وقت السعادة مفيش حد غايب فرحة تفضل تزيد من عين لعين تبقى فرحة عينيك بأغلى مليك مقام فرحتين على ميعاد معاك كل ليلة هنا فرحة بتلم عيلة ضحكة في عيون الحبايب سعادة زيادة
Our next keynote speaker is a neuroscientist, author, and a music educator. He is a professor at the University at Morumbi in Brazil. He is an advisor of the British Carnatic Choir and an ambassador to the United Nations. Professor Samuel Quintal, FRSA, will be delivering his keynote speeches on the topic Music as a Tool for Self-Control and Autonomy in Children and Adolescents.
Hi everyone, I'm Professor Samuel Quinto from Brazil, São Paulo. I'm here to talk about music as a tool for self-control and autonomy in children and adolescents. Music. I'd like to talk about some laws in Brazil. On December 20, 1996, was published which establishes the guidelines and the base of national education regarding the teaching of art. It's found in Art 26, paragraph 2 on this document. The teaching of art will constitute a mandatory curricular component at the different levels of basic education in order to promote the cultural development of students in Brazil. So, the brain, a neuro perspective about the brain. Do you feel yawning when you see someone yawning? Are you thirsty when you see someone drinking water? These familiar reactions can be understood in light of one of the most fascinating discoveries about the brain, mirror neurons. In 1990, a group of Italian neuroscientists were studying the brain of a monkey with electrodes. Peanut triggered the electrode. So far so good. But when a scientist ate the peanut, the monkey's electrode triggered. They discovered that the monkey's brain was influenced and became active only by observing the actions of another. Okay, what does this have to do with it? Based on what we see, hear, smell, touch, and taste, that is, through the sense we can mirror not only the behavior intentions of others, but also their emotional states. We realized that not only the reaction will follow, but also the emotion that supports the behavior. That's why neuroscience calls the brain a social organ, because we are equipped to be in relationships and influence each other. So, the brain and neuroscience for education. We know through neuroscience studies that our brain has two hemispheres. The left, responsible for reason, logic, linguistic, and linear. It likes to put everything in order. The right hemisphere is emotional, experimental, and autobiographical. The left side focuses on the text and the right side on the context. What can we notice about it? That emotionally stable, resolved, happy people develop better learning and improve memory, memorizing lyrics and melodies. What about art and playfulness? Ludicity, art as an ally to education, can create meaning for our lives. Our mind is selective. We learn what we perceive as important for our existence. So it becomes necessary that the concepts, symbols, are in connection with people's experiences. Art is a phenomenon present in all cultures. Industrial civilization is founded on the primacy of reason and work and on the idea of infinite nature. Art allows directing our attention to feeling and even contributes to their refinement. Art keeps the imagination alive. Art allows direct contact with the feelings of our and other cultures. Art education does not just mean the inclusion of art in school curricula. Art education has to do with an educational model based on building a personal meaning for life, which is unique to each student. And sing along, sociological, emotional, and cognitive aspects. In view of the above, what can we perceive? Help children to be receptive to the relationships. We apply interpersonal relationships, connect emotions, and facilitate the connection between hemispheres of the brain that amplifies the learning process on several levels, including motor, coordinations, and knowledge of its limits. Music has the power to release a neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is responsible for the feeling of well-being and happiness. Right in the midst of turbulent periods as we are currently experiencing, nothing like a good natural injection of dopamine, right? And how local culture, how we do it. Let's go to the methodologies. Find it's necessary to have prior knowledge of the community where the school is located and to understand its cultural issues. A consultation with the pedagogical political plan may shed some light on where to start. Engagement and motivation. Choice of repertoire. One of the forms of great adherence to any project proposed to a group of people starts from the point of engagement. How to engage? People feel valued when they actively participate in the process. Hence comes intrinsic motivation. And the challenges. Resilience. There are several ways to propose any activity for children. One that has a high rate of applicability and adherence are games. Hence, we return to the character of playfulness. Musical games for rhythmic training use the body, musical question and answer games, group challenges for musical writing as a way of learning rhythmic, melodic dictations, or both, like gamification. Neither too easy nor too difficult. And what about empathy and shows? An effective method to be used is to put yourself in others' shoes. This applicability of performing the vocal practice using the colleague's shoes conveys the idea of connection, of respect, in addition to make the child sing. That is, producing art, right brain, right using reason to feel what the others feels. That's why we're talking about music as a tool for self-control and autonomy in children and adolescents. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Bye-bye, see you.
Our next speaker is Dr. Pallavi Vedantam. She is a passionate immunologist working as a senior expert science and technology at Novartis, New Jersey. She will be speaking on the topic, Does music influence what we eat?
Hello everyone and welcome to the 6th World Music Conference, and this year's theme is children and what effect does music have on their eating habits. Now we all know that children are closely associated with music for all kinds of purposes. They use it for studying, they use it for playing, they use it for eating. Most parents, they engage their kids basically with the help of music. And so how does the diet pattern and how does the healthy eating habits or unhealthy eating habits on the contrary form along with children is the theme that we are going to discuss. Now there are a lot of areas that will crisscross, even though we are also discussing about children and their eating habits. it mainly depends upon the role models that they have around themselves, who are going to be the adults around them, their elderly parents or relatives or their siblings. And so we will touch upon the various facets that affect the nutrition of a child or the eating habits of a child. Now, we all need to remember that food intake is defined as how much quantity that the child actually consumes at an individual level. Now, food intake can be influenced by different kinds of factors. There can be internal factors, external factors, and psychological factors. Now, internal factors are those factors that are invisible, but they are physiological factors that affect the internal functioning of the body. So, music has been found to affect the blood glucose levels, the blood pressure levels, and also it has genetic effects. Now, while external factors, they include both environmental factors and social aspects. Social aspects in general mean the different kinds of social settings, the environment of, where people are seated together, whether it's a family gathering or it's basically food is kept in such a position where it's easy to reach or it's an eye-catching position, which we usually see in the grocery stores. On the checkout counter or any aisle, you'll see the sugar-related products are always kept, the unhealthy products are always kept at the eye level. And that is one of the marketing strategies of selling unhealthy food in general in the food market. Now, the environmental factors can also be divided into those that are associated with an eating environmental and those that are associated with the food environment. Now, the different kinds of ambient factors that are not directly related to atmospherics, the effort of obtaining the food product, or how you socially interact while eating this food, and different kinds of distractions, eating distractions, for example. Now, when people are exposed to such environmental factors, what happens is that the effect of distractions is either minimalized or maximized. For example, if there is a festival or it's a gathering or it's a celebration, obviously we tend towards eating all kinds of unhealthy food choices. Whereas, for example, if you're individually sitting at home as a family social gathering, then you're either watching the TV or either you're on your laptop or you're on your electronic devices and you tend to overeat. So generally they say that you're not supposed to eat when you're watching any kind of electronic media, because then you're not able to regulate your required dietary allowances. Now, keeping this in mind, we must remember that there are different kinds of stimuli in the environment that are also present actively and inactively or subtly or invisible. And they are active in both public places or in private eating places. Now, a lot of research has been done. There's a lot of data out there that proves scientifically that music does have an effect on a child's eating habits. It has been demonstrated that music affects food intake, and specifically in relation to various features of music. Now, these different features can be definitely classified into multiple different groups. It can depend upon what kind of the volume of the music, what type of music, what genre of music, what is the tempo of the music, is it a presence or an absence of an human voice, or it is an instrumental music, or if the music is alien or you're familiar with this kind of music. Now, in particular, for example, if you take an example, it has been found that extremely loud music or relatively significantly loud music with vocals, for example, and familiar music has been shown to contribute to greater arousal by changing the psychological responses, for example, the heart rate or the blood pressure, than with the opposite kinds of music, which is very soft and mellow and instrumental, for example. Generally, what happens is when there's a celebration, there is food involved. Either it's most of the celebratory events are full of happiness. And so even though there is a lot of food, people tend to be already full or satiated. because of the emotional quotient involved in that social gathering. So there is a lot of quick consuming unhealthy food products that the children tend to go for, and they have easy access as well. So we find that there's potentially, what happens is, music can affect a child's food intake, and similar mechanisms have been found not only for children but also adults. So if adults are in charge of selecting music in order to feed a child, or in order to play music during their feeding times, then it's important for, as parents or caregivers or childcare personnel, to keep in mind that they are definitely psychosomatically affecting the physiological response and the psychological response that are in tandem in intake of healthy or unhealthy food groups. Now, having said this, it has also been found that the relationship between music and food intake has an emotional perspective, a deeply emotional perspective. Generally, there are different kinds of kids who will not want to eat when they are sad, or who overeat when they are stressed or under anxiety or they are depressed. So it depends on what kind of an emotional makeup the child has, and then either the listening to music accentuates the desire to eat more, or it diminishes the desire to eat less. And so the emotional aspect of listening to music and eating is very heightened. So the food preferences, right, become very important as a choice when you are engaged passively or actively into listening to music. Now, a lot of research has been done, and they have found that emotion is definitely a mediator between music and food perception. Besides that, emotions were thought to affect food intake in multiple different ways, as I just mentioned. But one has to keep in mind that even though there is so much research done and there is so much influence that has been found on food intake, it is important to keep in mind how you can positively use this idea to encourage kids to eat healthy food and to prevent diabetes or food related disorders. And so, what are the main factors? And I think we should definitely get into that in order to understand how we can regulate this positively, in a positive direction. First is the volume of the music. It has been found that when there is fast paced music, children tend to eat a lot fast and a lot also, quantity wise. In adults, it has been found that it helps increase the alcohol consumption rate. So, for parents out there who are watching this, be careful what you're feeding your children with a loud music that is fast paced. However, it has also been observed that the presence of music does increase food consumption and their blood pressure levels very, very easily. Therefore, one has to keep in mind on what kind of cartoons or what kind of music or what kind of ambience you're setting up during breakfast, lunch, snack, supper, or dinner times. It's very crucial. Most of the time, it's the easiest trick in the book is you play some music on an electronic media and you can engage children very easily for feeding, right? And so these are the choices that one has to keep in mind. The next is, what is the speed of the music? It has been found that in the presence of high tempo songs, a higher intake of foods has been observed. Now, tempo, for example, has been connected to the food intake. In which way is the question? Well, we have to find what is the relevance on the volume of the food consumed. For example, people are likely to, eat very slowly with the slow tempo music, likely to eat a lot with high tempo music. So when you're trying to go to a restaurant, for example, and they're playing a certain kind of music, it will be a nice activity to actually observe how much you pay for the food and how much you order and how much you actually consume or how much you enjoy eating all the items that you have ordered. So it's very it's very relevant, this point. The second kind is the type of music. Some pieces of music children are very familiar with. Some pieces of music children are not familiar with because they are all in the adult category. But when it comes to doing the singing the songs along and tapping away or dancing with the peppy tune that they already know, then they are bound to eat more. But if it's an alien song and it's an alien language, for example, they tend to spend less money. As parents spend less money in the restaurants, and so children tend to eat less, vice versa. So it also has been found that the spending of money is directly related to the amount of food consumed, obviously. So food enjoyment is an activity that can be positively related to food intake, while classical music has been found that there is an increase in food enjoyment while listening to classical music. So there seems to be a very moderately significant relationship with the food intake and between the type of music that you actually pick. The next is the variety of different kinds of foods that are available on a menu or at home, for example. The greater the types of foods that you are able to pick from, then you have a potential increase in food intake for a child. And then they represent a confounding consensus that they would like to eat everything. So it has been observed that a variety of foods may sometimes confuse kids of what they want to eat or may not confuse. So it depends upon the child most of the times, but I think the type of food is a safer option when you give them less number of choices. So if you give them 2 choices, then they pick one. That makes not only the person who is presenting the food for intake less hassle, but it also gives a choice to the child to pick between healthy and unhealthy. So this disciplining the stomach begins at a very early on age, where you can actually prevent and discipline the amount of sugar intake and the amount of junk food, fried food that the child actually consumes at a young age, because then if they're eating healthy at a very early on, then they are not predisposed to obesity in their early 20s. And so they also have been found there's a relationship between the eating location and what is the sample size. Many restaurants or many houses, the sample sizes vary. I think the person who prepares the food for children knows intuitively how much they are capable of consuming, how much they are not capable of consuming. But of course, when you go out, for example, you go to a restaurant and you want to eat outside, it has been found that there's a significant effect on food intake when a larger sample size is presented. For example, if there's a eating location of chain restaurants are there, you will find that certain restaurants only have greater scope of food intake. And so children are very intuitively wired, turns out, to the effect of social settings and the sample size as well. For example, in a restaurant or in a home or in a car or in a bus or whichever way they are traveling and eating or they are stationed at home. And so it turns out that it's very important on how we actually decide to feed children, what time we feed children, what kind of atmosphere are we creating. It's just not preparation of food or ordering the food and getting it delivered from the platter to the mouth. It's important and to keep in mind that there is an emotional aspect, there is a physiological aspect, and then there's also a psychological aspect, and there is a social aspect. And these things one has to be acutely tuned into in order to have massive positive impact on the kinds of healthy, nutritive food groups that the child partakes from early on until he reaches his young adulthood. And so It's important to keep in mind that there are a lot of literary findings that explore the relationship between music and food intake in children. And the sum and substance of it is yes, it positively affects the children to some extent when they are related to food intake with a small sample size. And all these data that have been collected that I presented now measures the basal metabolic rate, the BMI, so body mass index, I'm sorry, and the BMR, the basal metabolic rate, that measures the internal factors and the external factors. And so BMI is the most biggest indicator that has a direct correlation to the obesity of grade 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so in order to keep our BMR and BMI in check, it's very important to keep in mind that our environmental factors and our external internal factors are moderately monitored in eating for children. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm so excited to be a part of this conference, and I hope all of you are having a good time learning some very, very interesting ideas about music, children, and their well-being. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy.
Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed watching the first half of the 6th Annual World Music Conference. We'll be having an hour lunch break and we'll resume post-lunch.
Hello, everybody. How are you all today?
Good afternoon.
Let us all mutually introduce one another. Let me start with myself. My name is Chitra Ramakrishnan, and I'm the director of the British Carnatic Choir and the founder curator of the World Music Conference. Lovely to meet you all.
I'm Kyle Softman, and I am the program director of the Music in the Schools Foundation, where we bring music to children in low-income areas, and we do it for free. So we depend on the kindness of others to give us money and grants.
Welcome on board, Kyle. Lovely to virtually meet you here.
Hello, so I'm Ollie Tunmer. I'm the director of Beat Goes On, which is a UK-based percussion workshop company. We deliver a stomp-style body percussion and samba drumming and junk percussion and various other percussive workshops and PD and CPD sessions throughout the UK and internationally.
Welcome on board.
Thank you.
To virtually meet you.
Hello, so I'm Wajdi. I'm a composer from Lebanon, and I'm a music educator. Mainly my work is the primary school. I'm happy to be here with you.
Great to have you on board as well. Professor Macris?
My name is Haralambos Macris. I am from Greece. I am working as a musical director and conductor of the Palace Philharmonic School of Music in the island of Kefalonia. Nice to meet you all.
What a great combination. Fantastic. I'm so very eager to speak to all of you and gather your valuable insights on this very important topic that we're going to discuss today. So let's get going. I will be the moderator for today's discussion. So just for our audience, I just want to formally introduce. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the panel discussion on developing music intervention strategies in the primary prevention of childhood obesity in school settings. I'm so glad you could all join us. This is going to be a very enriching discussion as we are joined by talented panelists from a range of backgrounds. To all the panelists, I would like to briefly hear everybody's thoughts on whether there is a place for music in childhood obesity management, specifically in school settings. A simple yes or no would suffice for the moment, and then we would further explore this in greater detail shortly.
Yes, there is a place for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
Of course.
Of course, it has a great place for music for the youth. So, although in Greece, there's not a state manner for in the schools and the curriculums, in the state curriculums. But
Right.
It's important that our music schools, so private music schools, do so.
That's really very interesting to hear. Thank you. The key modifiable risk factors for childhood obesity, as we all know, which includes the diet, nutrition, lack of physical exercise, and psychological instability or challenges, right? So considering this, what forms of intervention, example, singing or listening to music, do you think would be beneficial to school children in terms of managing obesity?
Well, songs with a positive message, for one thing, makes them feel good. And they tend to bring it home and sing it to their families or to anyone who will listen. That's what they tell us. And, movement with music, even when you're listening to it, for me at least, it's very hard to be sitting still. They'll start moving, even if it's small movements, it's moving. And our teachers also incorporate activities where they're actually standing up, and sometimes they're doing small movements, or sometimes they're doing big movements. And it's more than they do at home often, because these children often go home to an empty house and they sit and they watch TV or they play video games because they have nowhere to go. But when they do these things in school, at least they're doing them in school. But often, just like songs, they bring them home and they'll do them with their family or their sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles, grandma, whoever. And we know this because they tell us. They tell us everything.
That's such a beautiful thing, isn't it? So, in other words, you're, taking home and you're trying to share it with others as well, who might, perhaps even the grandma, grandpa, or or the parents might even join in with the children.
They
That's
do.
a great thing.
When we had virtual classes and they were at home during the pandemic, a lot of their parents or grandma or whoever was there would participate. So it's fun.
Fantastic. Yes, it is. Yeah.
I mean, I guess my area of focus is mostly from a percussive perspective, and particularly body percussion. And I think one thing that was certainly that I was aware of that was found out, well, kind of discovered through lockdown, was the potential for body percussion being more than just a warm up. And obviously, body percussion became one of the few kinds of things, music making that you could actually do throughout lockdown. Because obviously, as long as you're actually have the technology to participate online, you need no other technology. So yeah, body percussion has kind of become perhaps more kind of higher profile than it was previously, perhaps. I think in terms of it being used specifically to kind of get around child obesity, a few things that we might suggest would be to do it regularly. So not just once a week. To do it, it doesn't need to be necessarily just part of a music lesson. You can make learning active. It could be that there's, a certain time of each day where in lessons, particularly perhaps during a more of a city down lesson, that children are encouraged to stand up and still not do it as a tokenistic, something that's not related, still keep it relevant to what they're learning, but make it active, making it up and doing stuff, but playing perhaps body percussion rhythms that are related to the words of whatever they're studying at the time. I think also if it's child-led, then that can be even more engaging. Kind of following on from what Kyle was saying, very much bringing songs that children already know, and bringing them into it, but also if it's kind of child-led, them composing their own body percussion rhythms or songs, then they're not only going to kind of exist and develop in school, but they're also, as Carl's mentioned, develop outside of school as well, and the learning carries on there. So I think, yes, regularity with it, kind of having kind of small bits possibly, but regularly. And also it doesn't just have to happen in music lessons. It can literally happen at any point of the school day and outside of school as well.
Perfect. I think that makes a lot of sense, isn't it? Yeah. Now, rather than just limiting it to music lessons, it could just be spread over during the day of the school time, right? And the other important thing that you mentioned, Ollie, I think if it is child-led, it will be more motivating for the other younger children to, look at them, and they will look up to them as role models, and
And there's a real sense of ownership of their learning if the ideas have come from them rather than being told by a teacher, right, we're going to do this today. If the ideas come from them, they're far more likely to do it.
Absolutely. Yes. So true. Vajdi, I know you've been working primarily with younger children, and currently you're based in Bahrain, and you work very closely with all the schools in across Bahrain. What are your insights?
So the main goal is like to compensate the time the kids are spending, relaxing in a couch, watching TV and playing games. Especially these days, they can't go like, it's like little less that they can go to gardens to play outside the home. So the thing that just like turning on the music class to a real like workout class. So we always let them, let's say, jump on the rhythm, dance with song, walking on the beat, running, flow the tempo, like slowing down and slowing up. All these things like make them mainly move, and this is like the main thing that we should let them move the first step. Then like following with Oli, including body percussion exercise will give the student a chance to not only discover their body, but also like move some muscles that they are rarely used in our daily life. Let's say fingers snapping and clapping and all of these kind of things. And you also mentioned this, the choir. So of course, singing in the music choir, it's not like only like they are doing art or singing. It's also a full control of breath, of positions, which mean a full control of the diaphragm. And mainly, this is very close to the main muscles that we should move them if we want to get rid of the obesity problem. What else I can say? So. Also, we have like the challenge that doing the sports in a routine of daily routine doing sports. So introducing the student to do like a daily practice in music, they learn how to develop a routine. So it's easily when they applied a routine in something, they can apply it easily to other places, which is also the sports. So just like teach them how the discipline work, how the routine should be maintained every day. It will be easy to teach them there later to do like some sports, especially if accompanied by music, upbeat music. This will help a lot.
Perfectly said. Yes, it makes a lot of sense. Happy to know that you're working very closely with all the, I think it's primarily younger children that you work with, right, in Bahrain? Is that right?
Yes, mainly from grade 1 to grade 6. So it's like,
right. Okay.
just like.
Very interesting. Professor Matrice, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I have to agree absolutely with Miss Kyle Softman. Our profession is close enough to, but I will not say the same. I am working 12 grades of students, so I have to admit that after the quarantine, students often getting bored so easy. And they wish to have their mobiles and tablets to see movies and play with their gadgets. So playing a musical instrument or singing in a choir help them to avoid this kind of this kind of thinking to stay on the virtual world. So I am teaching careers, student careers, wind instruments mainly. The physical shape of a student playing a musical instrument or singing in a choir is better than and equally to students that perform sports, and that because of they learn early to colorate their body, to colorate with their body, and have their hands moving in a tempo with their respiration, and that makes also the state of mind to be concentrated. I have many students that they got severe understanding problems or problems on their school on the school curriculum. Therefore, their teachers tell me that when they come to music, and after some months of music lessons, they do better because they can count, they can feel the tempo, the rhythm, and now they can concentrate more. And I was looking that there is something that we have to think for all students, that music science, the musical language is not numbers, is not the alphabet. It's something in between that includes everything from mathematics to to grammar and physics and of course sound. So it's not only physical, it's the physical situation, the physical shape of the students, but also the state of mind that improves even in the early stages.
Very well said.
I do think I agree with, the concentration and the focus, even if they're just playing an instrument, and I shouldn't say just, when you're playing an instrument and you're focused on learning that, you might not be moving a lot, but you're moving a little bit if you're playing with the mallets or you're playing a bow or you're moving your fingers, which is small, but you're focusing on something. And also when you're doing body percussion or just movement, you feel it in your body. And a lot of children or anybody learn best if you feel it. You feel it inside and then you understand it and you get it. So I like that people were talking about that too.
I think it's the experience, right? What the children undergo, both physically as well as mentally. So this is what really benefit them a lot, And as Ollie rightly said, it has to be a very regular, a routine kind of, system in the children.
Just talking about like exercising with the music, like it's somehow the same as doing workout, especially let's say for winds. So we move our like small muscles as the fingers, lips, tongues, and wrists. And these like not only need like some effort, it need more important control. And the control is like it's burn calories as it burns like the workout, somehow the same. And what it's important about music, it's like the music stimulate the part of the brain that control the movements. So it's helped like our body to complete many repetitive movements more efficiently. So this synchronization it increase our heart rate and metabolism, and sometimes give us more energy, while also reducing like the blood pressure and physical and mental stress. All of these like have like direct or indirect effect on our health. It's not like directly on our let's say our physical health, but it's on our mental health, on our like it releases our stress, which is like it will find its way to get like benefits on our physical health later.
And I'd like to take it one step further from what we have discussed. Firstly, would this be better as a solo or a group activity?
Of course, when we do exercising in groups, it will be for especially for kids better, because they will feel like as they will get excited more, they will get engaged more, they will not feel shy to do some exercise to just like express themselves.
Right. The main purpose of having this discussion is to really delve deeper into this, because we all represent different backgrounds and we work primarily with young children. That is a major factor which brings us all together. What type of music do you think within the school curriculum would be useful? Say it's classical, pop, rock, or any specific genre or styles? And also I want to know, if this is influenced by, different cultures they represent.
Multiculturalism is a great idea. Even if people belong to a group or an ensemble of musicians, either it is an orchestra, a wind band, or a choir. Especially in Greece, that there are many refugees, people from other countries, and that live permanently in our cities. It is often that our music ensembles got a vast number of repertoire, that is depends on multiculturalism, and that is a respect for all people, and that makes students in the early ages to uh, to adopt different styles of music. So it is easier to teach multi-rhythms with folk and with folk Balkan music instead of explaining in music terms or in music theory in high grades. So they can sing, they can play some folk tunes they that they already know, and then they can be introduced easier to multi-rhythmical aspects. Um, in our place in Western Greece, we got also the polyphonic or homophonic traditional singing that is also important for children to adopt to adopt the polyphony, harmony in their playing in their music language. So I think that uh, folk music and a sense of multicultural in the repertoire of the group may assist to engage musical aspects that in the music theory belong to high levels, but if they are easily uh, introduced, um, students are with music that students are keen in. They can understand it more, and they can feel it like that it's their music, something that comes natural, and it's more effective.
So you mean to say folk music is the best way to introduce to children
Well,
that
it's one way that is not it's not the only way, but
yeah,
it's an idea. It's a part of the curriculum because we live in Greece, so we have to learn also the Greek music,
sure,
not
absolutely.
only Western music,
Mm,
and in Greece is the path between East and West. So
right,
there are this musical environment is very rich in multicultural aspects, and music is as ancient as the Greek civilization. So
right.
we have
Mm.
thousands of years of developing.
Right, that's interesting. Ollie, your percussion workshops mostly have a blend of both fast music. What kind of style or what genre of music that is what you use normally in your workshops?
Well, most of what we do, the participants are the music. Some of the time we play along with tracks, but mostly it's the ideas that are either we're teaching to them, or more importantly, they're creating themselves. I think in this, in terms of the kind of whether or not this these kind of approaches are done individually or kind of kind of ensemble, I think music's an inherently social activity, and like kind of I think probably people maybe get more motivated when they go to like group keep fit classes or whatever it is, because you kind of get inspired, you kind of the inspiration to keep going and to kind of work harder is going to be done more if you're kind of seeing other people keep going, right, we can do this, people, rather than one person around going, I hate this, you know. So you can kind of you can inspire each other to kind of really push yourselves. But I think in terms of I'd suggest that it's perhaps not a kind of a question of necessarily different genres as it would be different tempos. I think whatever the music you're listening to, that's the thing that's going to keep you going.
Sure.
And I know it could be that you actually choose a range of kind of different tempos to increase and decrease heart rate. We actually did a project a few years ago with a company in Canada called Kids into Action, which was specifically producing kind of body percussion routines with the specific aim, not so much of musical development, but of having a kind of a body percussion workout. And within that, we composed faster body percussion sequences and indeed slower ones. So there was very much time to kind of benefit the body as much as possible whilst continually playing music. So yeah, that was good fun. But again, I think the more it comes from the pupils in terms of the genre side of kind of things, whatever the genre, if it's something they're into playing along to or into playing themselves, they're more likely to kind of be doing it anyway.
That's very interesting. Yes. How about you, Kyle? What has your experience been?
Well, when I taught, I tried to introduce music from different parts of the world. And I think, like Ollie was saying, different tempos and, music that makes you really excited, that you move quickly to, music that's slower. And we talk about the difference and how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
And, with little children, I had music that had a pattern. It would start fast and it would go slow. Then it would go fast and then it would go slow. And guess which part they liked the best? Yes.
Yeah.
So we would move, we would play instruments with it, and we would talk about patterns. But as far as genres of music and music from different cultures, I always tried to include music from our own culture and their culture, because we had a diverse community, and especially now we work with a very diverse community, and we want to honor their culture too and honor their heritage, and start with music that they love and know, and probably know better than we do. I learned some Spanish songs and they already knew them, and took me longer to learn them. I think they taught me. And we have an international folk dance program where our teacher teaches dances from all over the world, and she'll ask them to guess where the music is from, and they have all kinds of guesses. But it's fun to compare the music, and they find the place on the map. If the music is from Africa, where's Africa on this map? And so they learn a little about the world. And this is back to where music teaches us a lot more than music. It teaches us geography and social studies and about each other. And they do learn about each other because a lot of our students are not from America. They have come from South America or Mexico or Central America or all over the place. Some came from Vietnam.
Yeah.
And we always try to honor everybody's culture, and we talk about what's the same about their music, what's different. And one thing when I taught, we had groups come to the schools. This was 100 years ago when we had the money for this. And we would have groups from around the world, or at least, with that heritage, come to the school, and we would prepare them for these little concerts and assemblies. And sometimes I would think, oh, I don't know if these kids are gonna like this. We had a group that sang Balkan songs, and their singing is very different from ours. So we talked about it. We listened to some of the music. The kids loved it. And it ended up being one of those things that they beg for. And I could say, okay, when we finish all of these songs that we're going to practice, then we can do that. Okay. So it's funny, I think if you present it in the right way, then they love it. And sometimes you just don't know. You think, oh, they'll love this. And they're like, oh, really? And one of my rules is always, you don't have to like everything, but we don't tell everybody. We don't say, I don't like that. And, because it might hurt someone's feelings, for one thing. And, if we are talking about whether we like something or we don't really like it, you have to have a reason. You can't just say, well, I don't like it. Because, okay, well, what is it about it? And, often there's something, well, it's too slow and I really like fast music. And that's a valid point. But just to yell out, I hate that, is not okay.
Yeah. So I totally agree with Kylie. We teach more than music. We teach them to appreciate art, appreciate culture. So it's not like about giving a reason they like or they not. It's about appreciate the music that we are listening to. So going back to the question, which type of music?
Yeah.
So here I will give example from because I teach mainly in Arabic countries. So I use a lot of folkloric traditional songs from the Arabic country. And what I noticed that when students listen to a music they know, mainly the cultural music and the traditional music are accompanied with a lot of dances, with a lot of movements. They see like these, they get like remembered these wedding songs that they are attending with parents. So they get excited. And I always, when I found these excited students, I ask them to come teach us this dance, how you dance with this music, why you use this dancing, what it's feel for you to listen to this dance. But as also like Oli said, it's like it's not about mainly the music, because we should teach them all the music. So we use also classical music, but it's about tempo. So we can put like if we want them, let's say at the break, to eat slowly, we should put a slow music, let's say a music with slow tempo, and this is how they will calm down. They can eat slowly. They eat less. They get like some benefits from that. But when we want them to move, to play sports, to really like get their brain work, we use a music mainly that stimulate them. So the music that they know is the best music that they can engage with. We can teach them how to analyze this music and how to act to this music, especially when it's come to pulsation, to do this to this rhythm with the music. And then they can just like copy this what they get learned from this music to a new music, so they will appreciate this music also, the new music, and they can like create. I agree with Oli too about like the importance of improvising. So they should like know how to clap with this music or how to move with this music. It's not always that we should teach them. We should like teach them how to create this, how to find themselves, how to express themselves to music. So maybe the music is the language that they express themselves through it, and this is the most important.
It's so nice to hear all your views, and I think music is definitely a part of every curriculum in all the schools across different countries. We have spoken about music and music in schools, and they're part of a curriculum. In order to address childhood obesity, do you think music alone would be useful, or would a combination of other factors, example, awareness about medical treatment along with music intervention, would be more practical in tackling childhood obesity in a school setting?
I think I was talking about Spelling, Massachusetts, which is where I
yes,
grew up, the state where I grew up, and I just remember our teacher teaching it to us to spell it that way. And as I said, to this day, I cannot spell it without doing that. MASSACHUSCTTS, or clapping it or something. And I've seen teachers use that technique for learning math facts or learning social studies facts, and it so works. And I wish sometimes I go back to my math teachers and I wish they had taught us that way, because I probably would have remembered a lot better. But that's how I learned. So, I think it's important that teachers address all different learning styles. And I think music does that kind of inherently.
Very true. Professor Macrees?
We're going back to your initial question. There is a potential between music learning and combining with speech and occupational therapy. I deal with this kind of inabilities almost every day, because we got some students that they struggle with this kind of problems, and I do such as only I got a percussion program. We get them in, and they combine music, movement, and singing, and that improves them to tolerate and cooperate with other students in the first and early stages, and then with as improving their speeds as improving their occupational state. So they improve in music and they improve in the school in the school and in their other activities. So even if it's not a medical statement for the kids, we can help them improve many aspects of their ordinary life. And as Kylie told, I remember some strange names of ancient Greek and also other Greek heroes and strange terms because of singing them. And sometimes when we go up, other teachers told us, "Oh, this here is not a song." But well, when I was a kid, it was so easy and so sweet for me to sing a song for a hero. So I remember his name and what he did by song. So it's everything. Music is primarily felt by its sound. So before we study the music, we hear the music.
Yeah.
So that comes to our body twice.
All your perspectives are very useful because we all know childhood obesity is in the rise everywhere. It's not just one country alone, but each one of us are doing our part in creating an awareness. So as Ollie rightly said, he's trying to conduct workshops combining sports and music and movement. Such a brilliant idea. Each one of us are trying to create awareness about this healthy lifestyle in children and adolescents through various combining music. As educators, as teachers, what issues or challenges do you foresee with regards to either implementing these interventions for childhood obesity management into school curriculums or the actual interventions themselves that we have mentioned earlier? Are these being easily accepted in school setting? What furthermore can be done? COVID-19 has definitely had a very negative impact, particularly in the young children, right? Are the schools within the UK or, across different countries, are they taking the right measures to incorporate sufficient music and movement within their curriculum? What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear them.
Well, in our city, and there is not a permanent music teacher in the two local schools. So in many school during the past many school years, it did not arrive in Kefalonia in our city a deputy teacher. Or an assistant teacher. So the two local schools asked me to go there to provide aid to the teachers for the school choirs for the festivities of the schools and to play music with the children and so on. This is during this year that I took the I Love Music song we got for the we composed for the conference. Uh, we worked together with English teachers, with the gymnastics, with people, and also with teachers that aid deaf students. So. We got a variety of teachers and different different activities in order to create to make these recordings. All parents understood that music is interesting and music is important for the school curriculum. Their kids can make so many things during music lessons. It's not only music theory, it's not only performing an instrument, its culture, its history, it's learning, even learning English for the need of the lyrics. So if as educators we have to make examples and speak to parents that it's important for you. It's important for your family. It's important for the mental state and the physical state of your kids to play music, to get involved with music.
Mhm.
And there's something that they can do during all their life. They can
Sure.
play basketball or any sports as soon as they get old and they cannot run anymore. But
Yeah.
they can sing in all their lives. They can play the piano during all their lives. So music is a gift that we give to our students in the early childhood, and it's eternal. They keep it during all their lives.
Thank you, Professor Macris. That's very insightful.
For one thing, it's a bit of a kind of shake-up in terms of what kids are actually eating. I mean, in the schools I visit, there's a huge variety. I mean, some of it's great, some of it's appalling. And obviously, if teachers are working really, really hard to try and encounter this particular focus, they're a kind of a bit of an uphill struggle if it's just pizza and chips going on daily. So it's not only what schools are serving, but also food education in general and general kind of education about the way you kind of a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it's obviously not it's a whole school community kind of approach that's required. I think also though in terms of the kind of using this in music lessons and outside, I think kind of going back to these teaching styles things, I think often teachers will in a way teach the way they were taught possibly, or certainly in a way that the ways that they feel comfortable teaching, and teaching in quite a kinesthetic way may not be particularly comfortable for some teachers. To counter obesity, you've got to move. So there may be a little bit of a kind of getting ourselves outside a comfort zone as educators to possibly consider other ways to get kids moving in subjects where that may not traditionally be a way of a teaching style.
Absolutely, yes.
So what I found very useful is like, or first, what was the problem is not all the other teacher, not the music teacher, let's say the language teacher or the math teacher, are mainly some kind of a musician. So sometimes when we create this, let's say for the first trimester, the theme that all the schools should, let's say we are talking about animals with the grade 2 or grade 1. So in the music class, we teach about animals. So we teach them like songs about animals. And when they taking these songs to their classes, they applying these songs to the topics that we are talking about. So this collaboration can be not just with the English or Arabic teachers, language teacher. It can be with the math, because like we have songs for every topics in the world. That is the power of music. We can sing about everything. And what I found like very useful is the collaboration with the drama teacher, because like this is like a field that is very connected, the music and the drama. Especially when with the primary schools, because mainly the student don't have like, they can't really act, so they mainly do some small exercises as acting or as the drama curriculum. So including the music and working together with the drama teacher, it will make them more engaged. If a student like is more into music and less into drama, or more into drama and less into music, they can like now get together and work together, and they can give their potentials. So what I suggest is that just like when we create a theme for all the materials, let's say if we music teacher, drama teacher, Arabic, math, science working on the same team, the collaboration will be amazing. So they can sing in the math class, and we can teach them some math in the, let's say, with the rhythm. It's a math. The music is a science too. In the music class, and the same, we can talk about the same topics in other classes. So this will connect all the materials together, and it will be like, as Oli just like invite us to go like outside our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And this is will be asked, or will be so the math teacher should let the students leave their places and move and do some movement, instead of sitting in their places and just like writing or answering question. So they should like make more movement, and this will be, of course, a lot more work for the teacher, but it will be like, for me, more benefits for the student. So this is like just a suggestion to make like a theme that can relate to all the materials together.
Perfect. And Kyle, would you like to add on to this, please?
I really like the concept of curriculum tie-ins, is what we call them, and learning about, if they're learning about, you were talking about animals, our kindergarten classes often learn about fish. I don't know why, but that's what they do. And so we might include a song about fish. And that brings me to another thing about language. Now, a lot of our students speak Spanish. And if you show them a picture of a fish, they might not know the English word for that, but they know what it is. And they start to associate that word fish when you're singing slippery fish, and they see the picture. Visuals are everything. Visuals will help you teach those kids words. And quite frankly, when I was trying to learn languages and I learned Italian, pictures were everything. Yeah. And just as a side note, I studied Italian and French and then moved to California, and everybody speaks Spanish. Awesome.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, and we talk about in class too. I mean, some of the kids don't speak Spanish and they say it's so hard to learn this. And we talk about, children who don't speak English very well, and it's hard for them too. And we all, work on learning a different language, and then they get a better understanding. And I tell them, I don't speak Spanish either, so I'm learning with you. And they're like, ooh.
See, I think from today's discussion, there are a lot of positive takeaways from each of you. And to summarize, I think we need to create this awareness amongst children, particularly from the primary age onwards in the school curriculum. Well, there's a lot which has been already happening in all the schools. What we have just discussed today might be seen by a lot of parents, children, government authorities, corporates, and so many people, teachers, educators as well. And that would make them, each one of them could take some positive takeaway from our discussion. And you've rightly pointed out, each of you, your valuable insights on how music can be made as a very comprehensive subject, subtly introducing in all the mainstream subjects. And also, Kyle, as you rightly mentioned, so if you have visuals, show visuals to young children, say, I'm healthy, I'm happy, and that kind of positivity, keeping good health, eating healthy. And Ollie rightly pointed, it's not just the music alone or the other interventions which is going to really help with childhood obesity. It's the kind of food that they eat in school. It's not just one particular focused thing. It has to be a comprehensive thing. And I think going forward, I think it would be a great decision if we could all, in our own small ways possible, try to get in touch with our community, our local authorities, and the government, and see how best we can try to help in creating more awareness about promoting positive both physical and mental health in young children and adolescents. Finally, I'd like to thank all of you for your valuable insights. And I think this is a topic that needs to be addressed now, because we all are aware, and we want to ensure that all the children are healthy, they lead a very, very healthy lifestyle, and how music plays a very important role Not many, of course, realize that if it is done in a very focused way and in a regular way as a part of the school curriculum, and also introduced in all the other mainstream in all the schools, I think that would create phenomenal impact positively, for all the young children and adolescents. So thank you one and all again and I look forward to seeing you all at the virtual conference. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.